Alrighty then. Hello everybody. Welcome. It's so hot. My god. We're actually starting an hour later than normal today. Only because I'm boiling, basically. And I didn't really feel up to having the feeling all cooped and cramped up, hunched over this microphone, instead of laying back and sort of enjoying myself in the sun for a moment. So yeah, we started about an hour later. It's also true that I made a video today. You haven't seen it yet. It's not up. But I did do a video on the AMA, which is 1 hour, 30 minutes long. It is the record for the longest AMA I have ever made. Or AMA video, I should say, on what the devs have done. So, yeah, kind of nuts, to be honest. There's a lot of fascinating stuff. Now, the reason it's super long is because... let me find it here. Obviously, there's a lot of quotes from Jessica Price and Peter Freeze on there, which I really... They're not that interesting or that good a lot of the time, but because of what happened with the controversy afterwards, it almost feels necessary to a degree to actually show this stuff off, because the AMA is very much like a fertile ground. It gives so much more context on what was going on that day. You know, there's really fascinating stuff. Like, there's a lot of people don't know either, because the upvotes are super low. Like, Jessica and Peter have got so many comments that are on like 1 upvote, 2 upvotes. Nobody's really familiar with or has read or done the research. Well, I did today, and I looked through that AMA, and there's like little comments. Like, one of them is Peter makes a joke, and like Jessica responds saying, "Oh, have I told you how much I admire you?" You know, and you might think, "Oh, well, that's not that interesting," but you got to understand, she's like really nice to him and really friendly right there on Reddit. And I'm not saying, you know, that on the face of it there's anything deeper, but it makes so much sense why then a few hours later, when he's at home with a drink and he sees a tweet where she's acting attacked, he'd quite quickly be like, "Yeah, you know, like defend her or whatever." If you know, if it just kind of shows that side of things, how things kind of developed to where they were. There was another really fascinating one, like let me find it here just before we start the intro, where Jessica was fucking talking about, sorry about my swearing, I don't know where this has come from. It's all the swearing I've been reading on these videos. Where was it? She says, this stream is not going to be full of discussion on this, by the way, obviously. God, there's just so many messages. There's just so much. It just goes on and on and on. Alright, I can't find it. There's a message. If you watch the video, you'll see it. There's a message where she basically says people have to learn how to control themselves and their opinions and stuff, and she's basically saying learning how to control your own personality is a real job to do, and it's just fascinating to see her say that right before she loses her shit over mundane bollocks moments later, you know. Anyway, the sad thing was Durrell singing her praise about the AFC answers the day before it kicked off. Yeah, and I can see why he did. These devs were all over it, particularly her. She has these massive walls of text. I feel like such a kindred spirit to her in some ways. She would probably hate to hear something like that, but I really feel like a kindred spirit to her. And the reason why is because, yeah, it is ironic. You guys will see in the video if you watch it. I mean, it's an hour and a half, so I know a lot of people won't have the attention span for that, but if you do, you'll like it. Like, what Jessica essentially does is she goes big dick on her work. She really does. She goes big dick on the work. And that's admirable and inspiring. And then she presents it to the world. And in the AMA, she wears everything on her sleeve. She really does these big walls of text. She described everything. She shows what a professional she was. But here's where I feel like a kindred spirit. She's very verbose about it. And then the community responds, and she comes back with big responses. And then the community responds again, and she comes back with more big responses. She comes back again, and more big responses. Most devs don't do that. Most people don't do that. They don't have the tenacity for that. She does, and I mean, I sound quite arrogant, basically, suggesting I'm tenacious there. But I mean, I really do feel, I know where the situation she's in. She's trying to engage people, and you can watch these conversations in the AMA as they go by. And people are being know-it-alls, and they're niggling, and they're like, oh, that's really... Everyone's so polite and nice. There's no toxicity. There's no 10% my ass. There's no toxicity anywhere in the Reddit thread, right? But everyone's like, oh, this is really cool, but what about this? Oh, this is really cool, but what about this? And unlike most other devs, which genuinely would just be like, I can't be bothered, because they just don't care that much. They're not... She comes back with another wall of text. And she has to answer it, you know? And that's where I feel like she's a bit of a kindred spirit. She has to answer it. You can see. And she's got so much she said, and she's answered so much. And the community was really nice and like, wow, I love these insights, blah, blah, blah. But I can really see how that takes a toll. You do that or leave. I can see it. She's blatantly wrong later in some of her post-release articles where she's like, oh, you know, the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever. You know, like the idea that it had just been building up on her, and it's through no one else's fault. But I can see, you can see it happening. And as polite as things were on the AMA, you can tell underneath she's like, oh, why have you got another comeback to this? Why are you questioning this now? I can imagine her thinking it. I really can. Like, and sometimes it's just not a discussion you want to have. You guys have seen me on streams. Like, here's a perfect example. Okay, here's where I feel like a kindred spirit. Do you remember that stream we did? I was in Siren's Landing, so it must have been around episode 6. Path of Fire release. So we were at Siren's Landing. Was anyone here at that Siren's Landing stream? I doubt it, because we've just gone live, so no one's watching right now. But I did a stream. You'll find it on Wooden Potatoes too, where Living World Season 1 came up. And, you know, I said, we need Living World Season 1. It was pretty obvious. It was blatant. It was blunt. It was so easy. It was cut and dry. Most people just agreed with me, and that was it. But I had a couple of people in the comments who had a really arbitrary small thing to add, which nonetheless fueled the discussion. And they were being devil's advocates, and they were basically saying, well, what if they don't need it? And I responded to that on the stream. And then there was another tiny little niggle about my response. And then I respond to that, and we're slowly getting off track. And then there's another tiny little niggle, and I slowly got off track. And suddenly it's like a full-blown discussion where there's tons of conversation going on. The truth is still pretty clear and blatant and obvious to everyone that Living World Season 1 coming back, there's a lot of very real reasons why that should be there. And the actual content of the discussion we're having, I was so not that interested in. It was not that fun. But because the conversation was there, I felt like I have to respond to this, because otherwise it's like I make this concession and it looks like I don't know what I'm talking about. And it just kind of drags, and it goes on and on and on. And it's not like that was some massive toll on me, or that was a horrible stream, or I don't like that. But I do this. I feel like her in the AMA, that's a little bit like how I felt on that stream, where it feels like there's just a lot of slightly argumentative stuff that bogs these discussions down. And it's like, you know, that's really not the most relevant thing, or like you're muddying the waters, making things up. And then you get that thing which I've discussed many times on the stream, where basically just because a lot of discussion is happening, it feels like the discussion is important, when that's not true. Just because you can talk a lot about something doesn't mean that it's still not fairly cut and dry. And so I think about, like, when I see the way Jessica was in the AMA with the big walls of text that almost feel like wading through fudge to talk about basic things, only to have the community respond, and instead of just saying this is awesome, someone will say this is cool but blah blah blah. And it's all, as I said in my video, it's all well intentioned. No one's being spiteful, no one's being mean. They're all just trying to facilitate discussion. They're all just trying to be devil's advocates to keep it going. But I can see how that takes a toll, and I see that in her AMA there. And it's obviously completely inexcusable what she did, obviously, afterwards, and unprofessional and ridiculous and disgusting. But there's context there. There's a little bit more context as well. I'm actually thinking about doing a follow-up video, which is amazing that I'm even considering. But I'm thinking of doing a follow-up video. I realized something else as well. I've made a few small mistakes. Inks' conversation happened first. There were a few things, but one of the most important mistakes I've made, and nobody seems to, very, very few people properly understand. You know her original tweet, today in the life of being a female gamer, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what the fuck? Why are you talking about you're a female... sorry, a female dev. How is that relevant? You know that the whole sexism side to me is actually quite secondary to the main discussion. The most important discussion is workplace accountability when it comes to social media. And the other really important discussion is mob justice and getting things done. And those are the real discussions. The sexism thing is fucking boring to me, really. It's pretty open and shut. But you know, that seems ridiculous that she's pulling the gender card, right? Some very important context to that, very important. and no one's talking about, myself included, I fucked up. She posted a lot of her tweets just with that. That's just like, I mean, it's still gross and like a dickish, but that's like how she talks on Twitter. That's like what she opens them with. It wasn't it wasn't like specifically originally that she must have thought that. It's just that's how she prefaces her tweet, because that's how what her audience expects. She had quite a circle of people who, you know, enjoyed when she talked like that. So it was just another tweet in a long string that started with today being a female game developer, right? And again, it doesn't actually change things that much, because later she starts genuinely suggesting Deror was sexist, which, you know, completely throws that whole defense out. But that's really important context. And I feel terrible for missing that. The only reason these discussions ever get bad and ridiculous is because people don't have all the information. There's a particularly gross tweet on my feed right now of someone who's like freaking out, and I guess I don't have to talk about their stance, but they have very strong opinions that they're pushing out, and they also are blatantly admitting to not caring about the full story, and that really pisses me off. It really annoys me that people dare to have strong opinions and go on and on and on when they blatantly and comfortably reveal to the world they don't care about the full story. Who are the parents of... How do adults get like that? And they think it's perfectly normal and it will go under the rug. And I'm not going to start an internet argument with anyone over something like that, but that is one of the most abhorrent, disgusting things I can actually think about an adult. Openly admitting to not caring about all the context. Openly not... And again, it doesn't matter what way they fall on their opinion. You should always care about the context, especially if you dare to put your voice out there. So, yeah, I kind of want to do a follow-up video and talk about these little niggles. Like, it is important, I think. Just, I consider my duty one thing, to lay the facts down. That's it. It's a nice, safe, easy thing for me to do. I don't have to have an opinion. Just lay the facts down and everyone loves me. It's great, right? Nice, centrist, middle ground approach. And I get all the kudos for being balanced, even though I'm contributing nothing. But, you know, if I do genuinely consider that, okay, I want to get the facts down, I should get them fucking right, man. And I didn't get some of those right. It does put a slight twist out there. A little bit. Not that many people care. But the AMA video will be really, really, really fascinating, I think. And it's a weird one because it's like half normal AMA video, half gaping in awe at all the stuff that Peter and Jessica said. Because, I mean, it's crazy. Those two, above all other devs, were interacted with that AMA more than anyone else. Those two, more than anyone else. WP Centrist get the bullet too. I know. Listen, guys, I was talking about this. I think I was talking about this on Discord. Listen, for everyone to be happy on the internet, all we have to do is listen to the pale tree. The tablet says to act with wisdom, but act. None of that centrist bollocks, right? You must act. Okay? We just listen to the tablet. It will be fine, guys. All right? Perhaps you have not studied on the tablet long enough. I think you should return to the grove, meditate, and then come back to my comment section. Until then, kindly untag me from this, please. Please, gaming journalism is all about biased opinions. Yeah, that's another thing I kind of want to touch on in a follow-up video, maybe. Knowing me, doing it in a stream means I will no longer have any enthusiasm. But the other thing is there is another discussion, and that is the state of the journalism on this. It is... I don't know what it's like in other countries. I'm not going to single out the States or whatever, right? Because this will happen everywhere. I don't know what education's like. I don't personally think UK education's that good, and I see a lot of problems, right? But if there is one thing that I distinctly remember learning a lot, having studied modern history as a GCSE, having done quite a few things, I spent many, many school terms from the age of like 11 up learning about the dangers of propaganda and learning about how to be impartial and how not to be fed information. A lot. Like, that was a huge thing. And yes, it was often couched in stuff to do with World War II and whatnot. But it was never like... And sometimes it was suggested it's like ancient history and people are smarter now, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we dedicate a lot of time to that shit. And you'd think with the internet, this magical thing where anything can be verified in a moment's notice, it would die away a bit. But if you guys if you want your mind blown, take a few hours tonight to read the articles that have come out about this and look at the YouTubers that have talked, who, by the way, will get far more views than I ever will, which is another sadness. But and not because, you know, I selfishly want lots of views, but because they're the ones with more reach. Look at how lazily and how, I mean, in all directions, it's scary, the amount of information that's just emitted. And then people who hear that as their first source of information form their opinion and go mental about it, and then openly admit to not caring about the full story. I mean, what? There's so much interest about it. It is weird because I'm just here to talk about games, and then it's, you know. But I hope through this stream, at least, you guys have got just a little bit more as to what was actually going on with this whole thing. By the way, I also say another thing. A lot of people hate the journalists for being biased, for having very serious, obvious agendas. But listen, it's not... the journalists are the symptom of how people act. Right? The journalists are like that because people just click the article, zoom through it as quickly as possible, won't read anything too long, they won't listen to a 57-minute Wooden Potatoes video, they want to spend 5 minutes on it, they can't be bothered to even look at the comments under it, and they move on. You enable it. It's not... It's not like, oh, there's this evil mastermind, manipulative person in the background. It's the state of a lot of things. And I know what I just said there is kind of a very difficult thing to enact change on because we're talking about such a broad scale. But really, if your hate is now towards journalism and stuff, that's also, I would say, misplaced very much. It's a very, very complicated thing in that it's sort of the way people are. A lot of stuff is happening just accidentally because people are lazy about how they consume information and they're lazy about how they deliver information. If I offer any advice, I don't think I can make any change in this world at all, but I will tell you one thing, and it's going to seem really selfishly motivated on my part. It's not really. If you really want to be a conscientious, smart individual on the internet these days, stop using generalists. Seriously. I can almost... let me finish my point and then I'll talk about another thing. Nearly every single bit of shitty journalism or poor quality discussion is mediated and started by a generalist. The people who just make their careers out of coasting from one thing to another, never sticking on that topic long enough to be held accountable for it, who don't have to do much deep research, those people fuel the most dangerous shit out there. There are a lot of people like me, though, specialists, not generalists, specialists. I'm a Guild Wars 2 specialist. That sounds kind of arrogant, but what I mean by that is my livelihood. I'm on the street if I'm not good at covering Guild Wars 2. So what that means is you guys have me bent over a barrel, and if I talk about Guild Wars 2, I have to be right about Guild Wars 2. I have to know the fact. If I did my video at the shoddy standard nearly everyone else is doing on this subject, if I did a video at that quality, I would lose so much respect from this audience. People would stop watching me. They'd tune out. They'd slowly start tiring of what I have to say. I have to have some respect behind what I say. So I have to think very carefully about how I speak about this game, and I have to do you right because I specialize in this game and I am reliant on this game. Okay, that's what my role as a specialist, and that's not honorable, that's not noble of me. That's where I am. And I'll tell you what, there is a specialist for any game or any subject out there. They might not be 130k subscribers and able to earn a living from it, but they will be there. And if you want to actually make any change, you should seek those people out. Don't use the shitty YouTubers, articles, whatever, that are generalists, that make a living off of being as broad scope as possible, because the quality will diminish massively. You will not get the correct answers. Find the people who are truly accountable to the subject material that they're talking about. You find a Wooden Potatoes for everything you care about, any hobby, anything. Wood and potatoes won't do you wrong. The specialist won't do you wrong. Or if they do, it'll be obvious and they'll be gone because people won't follow them, all right? And that's the if there's anything, that's what you should do. That's what being consumer aware is. Stop using this just trite. I can't tell you how disheartened. And that's not jealousy from me, like, oh, look at these people with easy jobs that can just wander around and they cast a wide enough net, they don't have to try at their jobs, and they get ridiculously massive views. They do bite-sized fluff pieces and get 20 times the views I ever will, despite putting in 1/10 of the effort. It's not that. Yeah, there's cynicism there. Yeah, there's a bit of jealousy there. But it's dangerous as well. It's genuinely dangerous. So if I do anything, for so many reasons, please seek out specialists, all right? And there's another thing that ties into this. I can't, as always, I read things and then they go in one ear out the other. Maybe you guys in Twitch can help me. Some psychologist or something coined a term for a phenomenon that happens to people when they read the news. Someone will know this. But the summary is, it's like selective amnesia that people have. And, it's essentially a thought experiment, right? Which is that, let's say you're an expert. Just stop for a second on this stream and just think to yourselves for a moment, what are you really good at knowing about? Maybe your answer is Guild Wars 2. Christ, you're on my stream dedicating your free time to this or whatever, right? But just think about something you're good at. Maybe what you're training to be in university, your real life job, whatever. You've got some expertise somewhere, okay? And now imagine you've got a broadsheet newspaper, anything in your hands, physical, traditional media, you're reading the newspaper, and a topic comes up about what you know very well in the newspaper. And as a professional in that industry, you read this article, and it's full of inaccuracies. And you're like, wow, they're blown. You know, when you hear like these stupid pop pieces, they're like, they found the cure to dementia. And then you read and it's like, no, this is just a minor study that didn't have X, Y, and Z or whatever. So you're reading the paper about your area of expertise and you realize just like, it's not just slightly wrong, it's terribly wrong. Many of us will have had this experience where it's like, here's another way. Let's say it is Guild Wars. Imagine you turn on BBC One tonight, you turn on whatever, your local cable channel, and they talk about Guild Wars. How much faith do you have they'd do it well, right? So you read this article about what you have expertise in, and it's terrible. It's like, wow, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you think, well, I can disregard that. That's fine. Lots of people have that experience. Here's the thought experiment. Here's the special part of it. You then turn the page and read topics about things you're not an expert in. You read about foreign policy. You read about, anything that's going on elsewhere. And you assume that despite the fact it's the same newspaper written by the same people, well, in large, the same body of work, right? You turn the page, and we have amnesia as to the fact that they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about on the previous page, and now we just read the rest and we take it in and we absorb it as though it were fact. Maybe we have a little bit of credulity, but at the end of the day, we're still reading the newspaper, and we don't question that, and we feel like we're getting some value out of it. And someone talked about this phenomenon. They described it as a certain form of amnesia. But what you have to understand is it's not just about newspapers. It's not just about what you see on the television. It's generalists. Find the specialists. They are the people who actually give you an accurate impression about things. The problem is, you as an individual have to get off your arse and actually do that work to figure out who they are, which is annoying. It's much easier to just go to one central hub of information and have it fed to you. But don't have the amnesia. Okay? There, that's my advice to the internet. I don't know why I got so goddamn preachy there. No, it's not selective memory. I mean, it is, but it's some term. And I'm not going to claim to be any better, by the way. It's just I have such narrow... I'm so one-dimensional and narrow and single-faceted that I only have to care and understand Guild Wars anyway. I get the rest of my information from Horrible Histories, which is written for 7-year-olds. Which, by the way, funnily enough, I've also found is very inaccurate. Every time I'm like, oh, that's interesting, I go to the Wikipedia page for something Horrible Histories has taught me. And I realise that the book is just, like, nonsense. It's really annoying. Anyway. But yeah, all right, I'm going to do the intro to the stream now, and we're going to play some Path of Fire, and we're going to do Long Live the Lich, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to get a drink, and I will see you all in a second. And hey, here's an idea. Why not try and find a specialist while we're on the intro? That'd be cool. See you guys soon. everybody. We're back up to over 1,000 people on Discord, so that's cool. If you guys want to know, I do have a Discord community. We have a Discord community, various channels for discussing Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, the latest videos we do. There's a Patreon lounge for people who use that website. We got all kinds of cool stuff, and it's also a route to get into the in-game guilds. If you want to participate in any of the discussion, you might have looked in my YouTube comments on the recent videos. You might have looked in, obviously, the streams or the Reddit threads, but there's also been a lot of chat going on in Discord. It genuinely is a great place to be, and if you're looking for a community, some friends, whatever, there's a link in chat. You just click it. You don't need an account or anything, and you can come say hi. I'll be in there at the end of the stream, so the more the merrier, and it will even notify you when I go live. So that's very cool. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing good. We are finally a little bit of a special moment here. In the patch came out last Tuesday, and by that I don't mean the Tuesday that just went, the one before. And we still haven't actually talked about the plot. We haven't talked about what happens with Palawa. We haven't played. A lot of you guys really like this content from me, but you're used to it on YouTube. On Twitch, we go about 3 to 4 times more lengthy and in depth on what's actually going on with the story, and it's kind of awesome, to be honest. So we're gonna start that for this release right here. It will probably take more than one stream, but we've got a lot of cool stuff to go through in the meantime. Get ready to sit back, enjoy yourselves. But the first question is, what class, race, gender do we want to play? Because that's going to dictate all sorts of stuff in terms of how hard this will be, and also you know, how the voice acting will be, and whatnot. Now, there's also a pretty big thing. I kind of want to play a human because I've done this on a non-human already, but I don't know what the changes exactly are to do it on a human. I guess it's up to you guys. We usually throw this up to you on Twitch. So what do you think, people? Do we want to play? I'll give you the options, and then it will be a fastest finger first situation, all right? So here we go. We got a human male Mesmer, a Norn male warrior, female Asura elementalist, female Sylvari Scourge, or Necro, male Norn Revenant, female, actually she's male right now, I changed her because of a broken bit of the personal story where they don't have a cutscene hooked up, so I had to spoof it for the series. A male Asura Engineer, female Norn Engineer, we're not going to say him because he's not set up, that's the level 10 Necro, so it doesn't matter. A male human Necro, I guess. I could probably do it. Actually, no, not him. He's full of random items. That's the LP. That's the LP. What is this? A male? I think it's a... No, is that female? It doesn't say anymore, does it? It used to say on character creation. I can't tell. They're in the Balthazar outfit. But anyway, that's a Guardian. We've got a Soul Beast. Male Asura Soul Beast. I've not played him very much. We've got our Deadeye. This is a Char male. We've got our Guardian, currently Spectre the Dragon Hunter, Char female. That's the LP. That's the Monkey Lord. He's a PvP character, only level 18. We have... This is my original Path of Fire character. This is Azuric. Azuric of Parathia, male elementalist. I wouldn't mind playing him. We've got this Reaper who is geared up and good to go. That's a male Char. And then last but not least, Ranger is no skill, who just beat the game using no skills. Who I probably should delete, actually. What's this guy got in his inventory? So anyway, that's the choices we've got. I kind of want to delete this character. It'll give me a character slot back for my next weird thing. So the way this will work is, now that you know the options, type in what one you want to see, and I'm going to give you a code. It's going to be 3 digits, and then the first person to type what they want plus the digits in a single message and hit enter, that person will be the winner, and we will do what they want. So there's a black line key there. This guy's got quite a few cool things on him. Personal story, so rewarding. I'll sort that out on another stream. Let's ignore that for now. Right. So the code is... You should all have had time now to get your guess ready. The code is... I like people guessing already. Dead Zeller. I've not even said it yet. That's before even stream delay. Kabad's guessing as well there. I kind of just want to wait and see who else guesses. All right, the code is 321. All right, there we go. It's coming in. Jesus. 3, 2, 1, human weaver. All right, we'll play a human. I really like that option. Oh, wait, no, I missed it. Oh, no, you messed up, man. You got it. Ector, you almost picked it. The Asura Soul Beast. R.H. Achi has decided. I'm happy to do the Soul Beast as well. Not that I'm very good or understand Soul Beast very well, but let's see. So, yeah, Councillor Yak it will be, it seems. Yeah, Asura Soul Beast is first. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry, Godzilla Kid. We got it. Man, I've got Coke from a glass bottle here, and combined with the heat wave in the UK, I feel like I'm on holiday. Except I'm not. I'm streaming. In the comfort of my own home, even though it feels... Okay, so what have we got here? Like I could be on a beach or something. I don't know, but yeah, glass bottled Coke just feels like such a holiday resort thing to me. Do we have... First of all, I've got to find the tome. So, I'm guessing Natalie has it to get... Oh, no, I don't have to find the tome because we're going to play the story. What am I talking about? I think this is the first time I'll actually see Soul Beast gameplay. Yeah, I've done very little Soul Beast gameplay. Extremely low amounts of Soul Beast gameplay. I think the only Soul Beast you've really seen is been on Balance with Boots, where we talk about it. Soul Beast equals press buttons. I don't even know how this Soul Beast is geared, so let's see. I don't know whether it will be power or Condi. So it looks like I've got Condi stuff, Nightmare and Trap Runes. No trinkets. Let me see what's in my bank. We can maybe find some Condi stuff here. Do we really want to play a Condi Soul Beast? What's more interesting, power or Condi for open world? I know you're going to say, oh, in Raid, you can do the Condi. But what about for open world? What's actually genuinely more fun? Power or Condi? Anyone got any advice for me? Obviously, we'll go through the traits and sort out. This is only going to be a minor part of the thing. Power, Condi, power. Condi Soul Beast is fun in open worlds. Condi Short Bow is super fun. Condi, healing, power. I enjoy Condi in open world. I'm a bit skeptical of all the Condi comments because all it takes is for something to be raid meta for everyone to go, oh, it's the best thing in the world. But I'll trust you all. So here, let's put our Vipers trinkets on. We look like a bit of a loser, to be honest. I wonder whether... Or do we? What is this stuff? It's not even skinned, is it? Isn't this just default? Maybe? Accursed stuff? Oh, maybe it is skinned. Oh, we've got Aurora. The AMA talked a little bit about this, like infrastructure for this. I'm not going to put Aurora on. We're going to put one Sinister piece on just for the aesthetics. Come at me, internet. All right. And where's my Chukun Champawat? It was on this character. Won't I need 2 short? But yeah, here we go. It's currently power spec, so let's swap it to Vipers, I guess. Condi needs a more convincing open world. Like, for gear diversity, Zerk in organized stuff, Assassins in open world is really clear cut and good. I kind of want Condi to have that similar distinction, but I'm not sure there is one right now. The axe we can get rid of. Torch is cool. Well, no, I guess axe torch is fine. Should we go axe torch and then short bow? Bit of variation. I know a lot of you will be like, oh, do short bow, but we'll try. Sigils are all correct. So Geomancy and Earth on all of this. This shouldn't be too bad. The gear's actually fairly well defined. What Path of Fire armor set do we want, by the way? I'm not going to go crazy on the Fashion Wars here, but I do want to do a Path of Fire set. We get to play with medium now. So I know we're in the middle of a playthrough on our warrior who, for the main expansion. How does funerary... Oh, I should just do it this way, shouldn't I? Funerary. So that's funerary medium. Looks a bit weird. Bounty Hunter. I like Bounty Hunter medium, I must admit. I do like Bounty Hunter medium. I like all the Bounty Hunter. I think Bounty Hunter is my favorite set. The dye is like really gross, I know. I mean, the helmet's a bit gnarly. Oh, we're in a outfit anyway. We're in the common clothes, so we look like an Asura. Let's do this, and let's turn off all of our dyes for a sec, just to see where we come out on the other side. Just go with Arena Net's defaults. I know that'll make you die Fashion Wars people cry, but at the end of the day, it's not really what the stream is meant to be. You can't go wrong with black and red. Wait, was I already in? Does it preserve whether you're merged or not through character select? Should we look like this? You want orange hands. I like that. I'm going to turn the helmet off because das Helmist ist groß. There you go. Yeah, baby. Yeah. And what's the Soul Beast weapon? Dagger, so we won't have anything convincing there. Chukun Champawat. Let's put a tiny bit of orangey red in, just because Chukun Champawat is dictating quite a lot the way we look. So hold on. Destroy it on orange. Here you go. Let's get the orange hands going. How do we get the palm of our hands orange on this set, though? Is that... Yeah, there you go. Orange hands. Just want a tiny, subtle bit of orange. There you go. All right, I'm done playing Barbie. That's how we look, I think. Yep. Sweet. Except maybe back piece. I'm happy to do a gem store back piece here, by the way. Something bony. Oh, the fire quiver with Chukun Champawat. Come on, that's too perfect. It's got to be the fire quiver. Plus, it goes with the orange. No question. No questions. And then the axe. Maybe we'll change from the fractal axe. Oh, we should do Desert King stuff. I love this. This is a new set here. Desert King for the Desert King map. What? The Desert King shortbow was kind of cool as well, wasn't it? Yeah, look at that. Should I turn off Chukun Champawat just to have the Desert King shortbow? Oh, you guys all want to see that though, won't you? All right. Purple and orange, blech. Oh, guys. All right, fine. I'll go black with this. Look, yeah, this is really... Playing Barbie in Guild Wars is not what I cared that much about, all right? This is it. I'm done with this after this. You guys just have to be happy now. There you go. That's it. Like it or lump it. This is how we look. Black and red is too edgy. WP, have you ever actually bought transmutation charges for money? Never. Never. Christ, buying transmutation charges? This is what I was trying to talk about yesterday. People are like, oh, this controversy is so good for the game. More people will buy gems. Jesus, you think that that's the way they need to earn money? It's crazy nonsense, like the way they have transmutation charges backdoored by the game and they never get any profit off of them. Stuff like that. Looks fine, but you changed the weird blue. Listen, guys, I'm not asking for your feedback, all right? Honestly, it's so wearying to get all this feedback. Can you stop it, please? Can you get off my feed? Alright, okay, I'm done. Alright, here we go. Let's go. Episode 3, Long Live the Lich. Oh, I gotta get audio right.
You're in trouble, aren't you?
I mean, trouble is such a strong word.
Out with it, Timey.
Gorik got himself arrested or quarantined. But if you come to his hearing, I bet you can get him released.
So many questions. Not even sure where to start.
We can go into the details when you get here. Amnoon Council Chambers. Thanks, Commander. You're amazing.
All right. So, I always find these first conversations quite interesting as well because I always forget exactly how the previous patch ended. Like, the last moment of the last patch always ends up falling out of my brain. So when it opens up like this, I always find myself wondering just when the whole season's out and people play it through in bulk. Not that there might not be that many people because of the way that it's packaged and stuff. But when that happens, I wonder sort of how well this flows, you know? Because they suggest that there's the passage of time. Anyway, so yeah, we kind of have a weird thing here, but we go back to Amnoon. Hype! We start off by going back to Amnoon. That's exactly what I want. Oh, that's not. I thought that was going to be a story thing. I'll read those later. We go back to Amnoon. I love, as I've said a million times before, every opportunity I get to go back to an area and just learn a bit more about them. It makes Amnoon feel like more a real breathing place, and it really clicked on this patch for me. I don't know about you guys, but seeing the counselors there, actually getting to talk to them a bit more, it means so much that we come back. And I'm glad they took the time to do that in this patch. The only place so far that I really regret we didn't get to spend more time at in the original release maps is the Desolation and particularly the Bone Palace. And by the end of these streams, you'll see why I'm even more, you know, oh, wait, I turned my volume down. Sorry, hello. I turned the wrong slider down. That's my bad. The main place I really regret that we haven't been to is the Bone Palace. But hey, maybe a little bit of Abbey as well. Maybe. But I like that we get to go back to Amnoon. There you go. Sorry about the volume there, guys. That was about a 13 dB difference. Hey, WP, could you do the biased opinion in the next instance? It's really good as Asura. Sure, I don't quite remember. By the way, I'm not an expert on this. I've played through this story once. So I'll be a bit of a noob as we go through. Which is good. People like kind of the raw impressions. It can be easily fixed by going into subscriber mode, so only people who pay you money can give feedback. One day I'll do that. One day. Beautiful loading screen. Not much more to say to that, but you'll probably find one of my video thumbnails uses that at some point. Because, I mean, come on, can't complain. And so Timey sees us and waves at us. You'll notice, obviously, the boundaries start off at very small here, but they'll use that mechanism they have a lot to move the boundaries of the instance constantly, which I'm still appreciating. I know it's kind of old hat for a lot of people at this point, but... Oh, we still haven't figured out what our skills and stuff is. All right, so let's go in. Let's listen to the ambience. Ambiance.
They're putting that Asura on trial today.
You believe it took 5 Cavaliers to take him in? Come on. They're really giving him a hearing?
It's kind of delicate since he's an outlander. You know, a jurisdictional thing.
The little freak put up a fight when we dragged him in. Hope they throw the book at him.
We get the super adventure shark over there still as well, which I used to like. In fact, I'll be honest, when I first got into this instance, I was like, wait, where are we? I didn't really realize that there was an entrance to this area from here. I'd always just walked in through this archway.
Hey, what's the hero of Amnoon doing here?
So this is another, you know, we're the hero of Kvatch. Everyone will call us that whenever we're at Amnoon. Hello, Tommy.
The trial's starting early, so here's a quick rundown. In researching the plague, Gorik figured out that it only infects humans.
Really? That's huge.
Right? Trouble is, locals heard him talking about his work, and they got him arrested. Luckily, he calls it the pestilence, so no one knows he's working on the scarab plague. Whatever you do, don't call it by name, or they'll never let him go.
All right, I kind of don't want the audio to trigger, but I don't know. I'll just say, I thought it was quite genius and cool the way that the devs... But if we look back at the Scarab Plague, for me as a Guild Wars 1 player, I mean, if you go back early enough on my channel, I'm jerking off constantly about the Scarab Plague. I talk all the time about how it's one of my favorite pieces of world building, that I just love how dark and grim it is. I'm really edgelordy about it, that I love the tone of the franchise when that was some subject material. It's one of the coolest set pieces of, and mysteries as well, of Nightfall. So the idea that a huge chunk of this Living World season would be about the Scarab Plague is really exciting. And I love here as well that basically, the truth is that the Scarab Plague, as it was expressed in Guild Wars 1, mostly comes down to a single quest chain, okay? There's like a secondary quest that leads into another, where you explore a little bit of Farron and the First City, and you hear a bit about how it affected the people of Istan and the end of the that sort of region, that period of time, a dynasty, I think it was, in Elona, and that's about it. They don't really tell you too much more. So when I played this instance, I actually really kind of liked that the Guild Wars 2 devs expanded on it here. The idea that it only affects humans, that's like, there's something really elegant about how they slide that in, because you'd think it's such a fundamental basic aspect of the plague, but it's in no way addressed in Guild Wars 1, but it still works perfectly in Guild Wars 2, and it just reminds you that Guild Wars 1 was so human-centric. You just didn't think about those things. And what I'm saying is it's a really fundamental basic aspect of the plague that super elegantly fit Guild Wars 2, and it's because, in truth, there wasn't that much information about it in the original game, and I like that. I like that they expanded its boundaries a bit, and it adds, obviously, an interesting twist. I'm not sure how well the rest of the patch really plays off of that. But that's why if you play a human, I'm really interested in how this patch feels if you're a human versus other races. Because that means I'm not threatened by it anymore. I'm Councillor Yak. I don't care. I'm fine. I'm as threatened by it as Aktung here is. So, yeah.
I'm engaged to meet the Tyrian delegation ship, so let's get this going. Mr. Gorik, you stand accused of conspiracy to release a deadly plague upon our city. How do you plead?
First of all, it's just Goric. Asura do not have surnames. And second, do please note this, as the distinction is vital. It's not a plague, it's a pestilence.
I'm ready to rule. If there's no one here to speak on this creature's behalf...
Alright, I'm not on the timer. Evolutes in chat says it feels like an ass pull. What does when you're a human? So the story is, I know the facts, I've just not experienced it. Apparently when you're a human, and I know this from the AMA because people would talk about it. Apparently if you're a human, they just hand wave it anyway for the commander, and they say, oh, you died, so there's a sink of death on you, so the scarabs won't go for you. That does feel like an ass pull. That bit, I've not experienced it yet, but on paper, that bit feels like an ass pull. Their expansion of the limits of the Scarab Plague, though, what's ass pully about that? I like that they're developing on it. The point is not just what I'm very disappointed about some of the ways they dealt with Joko so far. Because when you go back to Guild Wars 1 lore, you want them to explore its boundaries and push things further. And quite often, the devs aren't doing that. They bring the White Mantle back in Season 3 and don't explore them further enough. They bring back Balthazar, but don't explore his history enough. They bring back Palawa Joko, and, well, we'll see what we think by the end of these streams. And I think that that's where there's a bit of an issue going on with the game, where we want to see more Guild Wars 1 stuff come back, as well as the Guild Wars 2 stuff. But you got to expand them a bit. And I think that their explanation of the Scarab Plague only hitting humans does do that. That's an expansion. I like that. I don't know. Anyway, Goric in the box. Awesome voice processing on him. If this was Corteria, he would have just spoken like normal. I did quite like him in last patch, so it's nice to see him here. You can see how they carried him in. Enough, if there's no one to speak on this creature's behalf, so we get the dignity ferocity. This is what I was talking about in the controversy video, where Derore's like, oh, we should, it's not simple enough to just say, give us character choices. They're here wherever they can, and in fact, they're pushing those boundaries. If I was Jessica Price and I'd been a dev and implemented this and put a lot of effort into this mechanic you're about to see, just to hear something like that, you can see like the underlying aspects of this, right? Like they're clearly interested in thinking about that, and they have pushed the boundaries here. I like the way they do this scene, and I'd like to see a lot more because mechanically under the hood I like this. So they say, enough. If there's no one to speak on this creature's behalf, I can have dignity or ferocity. There's no personality system for it to tie into anymore, but I'm gonna say. Wait, someone had some advice. They said to pick a biased option? Well, I don't know what you mean there. I can't remember what I said on my first playthrough. This creature is an associate of mine. I'll say ferociously. I'm the hero.
Counselor Myamine, I take exception to that characterization. He's an associate of mine.
Oh, Hero of Amnoon. I wouldn't have expected you to keep such questionable company. The floor is yours. Although, I don't know what could possibly convince me to release this diseased threat into our city.
Diseased?
Oh, forgot to mention. To prove it only infects humans, he did expose himself to the contagion. But nothing happened!
Nothing happened? He's deliberately growing a beetle under his skin.
I'm sorry, he has a what? Growing where?
Oh, yeah. It's a new species of beetle that could help us with, you know what?
His name is Petey. He's cold sensitive, but otherwise an excellent specimen. / pet.
Order, please. Commander, so far I'd say your cause is suffering.
Right, yeah, it feels weird to be able to get on the Beatles straight away. I was just thinking, by the way, Timey, have they grown her since episode 1 again? Look how big she is now. Do you think they'll grow her again next season, or do you think they're done now? I mean, she's tall. She's actually got a huge head. Look how big her head is compared to mine. And how big her eyes are compared to mine. Oh, man, I want more pointy-faced, angular... Like, this Asura is my attempt to do a Guild Wars 1 Asura as much as possible. Gremlin-y, fuck all the cutie stuff, angular... That's what I was going for here. And this is like what they want to be the main face of the Asura. It's kind of crazy. There's a big difference between the two of us. You think she's done? No, they'll keep growing her. Let's just keep growing her. Make her as big as a human eventually. Yeah. That'll be funny. Just don't stop growing Timey for just whatever reason. What's that called in humans? Where is it just gigantism? Just to reveal that there's another side to her degenerative disease, and that's just unwieldy growth. But just never talk about it head on. Just eventually she's like as big as PE, just wandering around with us. All right, so what's our choice now? Order, please, Commander. So far, I'd say your cause is suffering. Here, this is what I said. Obviously, you'd ask this. Your Honor, did you actually have Goric examined?
Your Honor, did you have Goric examined?
I wouldn't ask any physician to risk exposure, but there's a bug growing under his skin, and, well, look at him.
Look at him. Wow, rude. You'll notice another thing that the devs are doing. I always love seeing this in story moments in games. I get the choice, and then you wonder whether my character will actually repeat that verbatim, or whether they'll just hit the ballpark, or whether it will be voiced at all. You know, they don't necessarily need to have my player character voice this. They could have just cut it, and I know what it is because I clicked it. And that's kind of a funny thing. When you read the AMA, Jessica's talking a lot about essentially what the entire big discussion became in the end, which is you have 10 lines of dialogue for every that have to be voiced every time you give the player character something. And she was talking actually about how the devs, she said it's like an angel gets their wings every time they cut a player dialogue line because it just saves them so much, and that they actually have a budget every Living World release for the amount of player dialogue lines that can be in the game. For that release, there's a budget for it, and they quite often have to cut really decent lines. And it's amazing to me, and she's wrong as well on that. It's not 10 lines, it's 30, because they localize it for other languages too. So it's amazing to me that they actually have it voiced here. Obviously, I know what I'm trying to say here. Everywhere else in Guild Wars 2, if I click a button that looks like this, it doesn't repeat it outwards. You'd think that this would be one of the first things they'd refine to be a bit more efficient. And if they go with this format, which is cool, right, by the way, look at the way it all sort of, it's like a diamond of dialogue here. We can branch out in various ways, and then they'll cascade back together at the end. If they do this format in other releases going forwards, and I really hope they do, there's too much in Guild Wars where they experiment with something but don't come back to it. Just don't have it voiced. Why not? I don't know. So I'm going to say... So she said, I wouldn't ask any physician to risk exposure, but there's a bug growing under his skin, and we'll look at him. And I went with this, so you admit you have no medical proof he's infected or contagious. I'm now looking at chat, because I don't want to miss the thing that people wanted me... I said she's wrong, now I'm mansplaining. Oh, God. Chat is going to be so bad for a while now. I'm skimming chat, and I'm seeing my dudes, and I'm seeing weary stares, and oh, guys. Keep shrinking Ritlock. Timey becomes the size of a colossus. Oh, okay, we'll do this. We'll say, look at him. What's that supposed to mean? Keep up the frosty. Okay.
Look at him? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, even in the best of health, your kind tend to look sort of, you know, sickly, weak.
Wow, Counselor.
Huh?
I think Your Honor needs to examine her own assumptions here.
You tell her, Commander.
I didn't mean... Look, maybe I'm biased. The only Asura I've ever seen are the Inquest, present company accepted. They captured some of our citizens and subjected them to horrific experimentation with strange diseases.
It's clear your experience has caused you to act hastily, Counselor.
So it would seem. Given the lack of concrete evidence, and given your willingness to vouch for his character, the court hereby orders Goric released. I hope you know what you're doing, Commander. Mr. Goric, you're free to go. Bailiff, leave the key and clear the chamber. Excuse us, will you, Commander?
Hey, that was pretty good. I'm all right with that. Was that different because I was Asura? I'm sure it was. It would have worked. Everything was very, very carefully written there to work, even if I wasn't Asura. I reckon it would have sounded a lot lamer if I was a different race. That was kind of cool. I like the people busting out the hot pockets in chat. Keep them coming, guys. More hot pockets. That's amazing. Oh, it was slightly different. Really, was it? This dialogue is ironic in light of recent events. Well, I mean, I hate to keep talking about it, but one of the things they were saying in the AMA is, you know, like, game stories can deal with stuff like that, right? The only Asura I'd ever seen was Inquest. Were I Inquest? Actually, my character is supposed to be like, the way I made him, I wanted him to be Inquest. That's why he's got the red, like, Asura headband and stuff. And he's got red eyes. He's not meant to look baked. He's meant to look Inquest. And his normal gear and stuff, I would have him like that as well. Obviously, we're a god with a Chukun Champawat now, though, so. The spirit of Chukun Champawat has set me on the straight and narrow. All right, so what we got here? A key on the desk. We get to release Gorik. Nice little moment. They didn't have to do this. He could have just climbed out straight away. But cool quality. It says open. Get a really nice key sound effect. You hear that?
Cretins.
I think the words you're looking for are, thank you.
Regardless, it's over now. You two can get back to work.
They impounded my materials at the docks.
And Blish, they just lumped him in with their stuff like a thing, like property.
Then I'll meet you at the docks.
So this, if this is Corteria, that's a leave the instance moment. That's all right. You got to leave, and then we'll throw you through 2 loading screens, and in quite a complicated asset-filled area as well.
Tell me you've learned your lesson, Gorik.
Definitely. Never underestimate the ignorance of the masses.
Hell yeah! High five.
Bragging about your sensitive experiments in public.
Am I supposed to anticipate the neuroses and paranoia of literally everyone around me?
Only if you mind the occasional stint in jail.
Yeah, I really don't understand you people.
What do you mean, you people? How very dare you? We are your people, man. Here we go, look. All right, so yeah, I think they won't talk anymore. You can see the counselors moving around. None of them have dialogue. The one thing the devs are very good at now, and I'm starting to really get comfortable with after all these years, is I don't worry about trying to press F. Like before, there's this named NPC, and there's a temptation to run up to her before she leaves the instance and quickly press F just in case. But there's not dialogue from pressing F. And you might think that that's some kind of remission. It's really not, because there's just a clarity that's slowly coming in there that lets you relax into the story more, because you know where you can extract information from. You know it's not going to be by pressing F on them as they wander around. I'll still mouse over just to be sure that the icon won't change, but yeah, it's kind of nice. Anyway, yeah, and they changed the boundaries.
Let that Asura go?
There he is, right there.
Unbelievable. It's all who you know in this world, huh?
They changed the thing, so we just walked to the docks straight away. We hear these guys whispering, like, it's good for Amnoon, right? Do you get what I mean? If they did, they could have put this in the new map. They could have put this... I mean, even it would have been kind of nice if we had this at Sandswept Isles or whatever, but obviously the living world stops them from doing that. They put it here at Amnoon, and it's a brilliant hub. It's an interesting format that I think we will see in the next expansion cycle too. We will probably get next expansion another area in a map like Amnoon. Let's say for argument's sake it's Cantha, but this could easily be Blood Legion Homelands and the Blood Citadel or whatever. Let's say it's Cantha. We will probably have like an area in Kaineng Center that is like a town, and we'll have a bit of expansion content there, and frequently throughout Living World we'll probably zip backwards and forwards to it, because the devs know that they can guarantee their currently active player base has access to that as a hub of sorts. They can't use Palawadan after it's liberated as a hub. They can't use Fariner. They can't use, you know, anything here. The Omakhan village could have just as easily delivered all of this, but we have Amnoon, and you get a lot out of it, and I think we will see that on the next expansion cycle, like I said. I don't know, just something to think about for the future. Something pretty obvious, but there you go. Way to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, Commander!
And so we get Farron. I'm just going to say this once right here at the start. I am utterly convinced he's E, and the only reason he's in this patch is to remind us that he exists. It's not about... Like, a lot of the time we've seen Farron in patches because it's funny. Because the devs like him. Because the devs are fans of him, and it's, you know, it's just a cool thing to nod back at. He's treated seriously as a character here, though. I think this is a genuine... Hey, we have to remind people that Farron exists because of an E reveal. I think... Here you go. What's the date? I can't remember. 7th? 8th? It's the 8th. 8th of July, 2018. And I would have said this more before. Finale, Farron is revealed as E. I'm putting it that way. I'm 100% convinced. I'll be happy to be wrong.
Can't trust those Inquest Asura or whatever they are. You heard what they did. Council should have kicked him out.
So yeah, more gossiping people. Hello, Farron.
I was hoping our paths might intersect.
Lord Farron, What brings you here?
Pack Marshal Thackeray has sent a ship with supplies to aid poor, ravaged Amnoon. He asked me to receive it personally.
That's a big responsibility.
Yes, I assume that's why he sent me. Ship's been spotted in the harbor. Should be arriving soon. Dock 6.
No,
Say, it would so buoy the spirits of the locals if you were to attend. Give them a bit of diplomatic pomp.
I've got to help out a friend, so I might be a bit late, but of course, wouldn't miss it.
Glorious! The delegation will be so impressed. Received by not one, but 2 of the most distinguished heroes in the world.
Sheesh, they just dumped our stuff out here like garbage.
Half of these crates are cracked wide open.
Numbskulls.
I love the way that the dialogue really, like, interacts with the environment here.
Warwick, we just got you out of jail. A mite infestation will land you right back in.
Haha, never fear.
Oh my god, there's too much to talk about. All right, before I deal with this mechanic over here, we're going to come over here where it's a little bit quieter on the boat. And I don't... Will Farron solo it? Oh, sorry, I'm talking over their dialogue so much. Will Farron be able to solo that? I'm not entirely sure. Let me just say, on the E thing, someone said Anise is E. Listen, Farron is E, and Farron is also Anise's predecessor within the Shining Blade. 100%. Can he solo it? Do you reckon there's a hidden achievement to let him solo it? I'm going to see. That would be so cool. So this is a new mechanic, just to be clear, where basically what happens is you jump. Jumping is as a combat interaction more than just avoiding shockwaves. First time the game's done it, you jump on these and they disappear, and you got to get rid of all of them. I think some of them respawn, and you need multiple jumps to get them. Certainly later in the patch there's more of these. It's a cool thing. What I find a little bit unfortunate is the Scarab Plague might not have too much more to do this season just yet. So we'll see how they go. But I think this is a cool tool. This is one of those situations. Do you remember how the Nightmare Fractal had the vomit mechanic? I was so confident that when they created that vomit mechanic, that was going to appear in the next raid. Like, wouldn't that have been so good in the next raid? The vomiting? And we've seen contagions, but the vomit wasn't in the next one. It even could have worked quite well thematically for some of them. So I'd love to sit here and say to you, well, look, this jumping thing, this will be an element of a raid. Sure, I mean, look, they could, or a Fractal upcoming. But it hasn't been. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a vomit plague fractal where both of them are there together. Who knows? Alright, so it looks like he can't solo it. The bar's not going down. Does anyone talk at this point in the story, I wonder?
Why would the council just let him go?
Why would the council just let him go? Do you guys talk over here? So here, by the way, we're at the tent. The game doesn't quite remind us of this, but this is the sunken part of the city, the Noble District, that got cut away because just a bit of dev trivia they gave us. We talked about this in a recent stream. Originally, this was all going to be one map, and Amnoon was going to be the whole section. But it ended up too big for the engine and too difficult for the engine, so they split in half. That's why it was going to be one map about this size, and then if you look at the Riverlands, it's also roughly of that size. And then I'm off with my boxes here, but the point is that, you know, these are quite large, while this one is more narrow, and it's because they were all going to be together. Anyway, all of that got changed, and they had to cut away big chunks of Amnoon, so they sunk it all. And that story's not really been expanded on anyway, but it was interesting when I played this because I remembered that was all a thing. And theoretically, in the timeline, we should have moved far enough forward now that these people would have been dug out, but they're still living in their tents and just watching on. Right, let's break these. One. Just look at FTT and stop expecting ArenaNet to make meaningful mechanics anywhere. FTT. Sorry, what's FTT? Yeah, this is quite satisfying. It's a good place for camera shake as well. A victory for camera shake. The camera shake feels good. Good job, Farron. There you go. Let's see what he does when I break the ones he's on. Can I give him Last Blood, maybe? Does he just stand there now? Like, there's quite a lot of interesting going on purely with just his AI there, if you really think about it. Looks like he's done immediately.
Right. Now that's handled, I'll be off. See you at Dock 6, Commander.
You okay?
I am not. I am having an atrocious day. Now, where's my brother?
He has to be in one of these crates. Hey, Blish! Blish! You in here somewhere?
Oh yeah, sorry, I completely forgot to point out that you can use like the Springer and stuff to break those as well. You can use your mount, and that's good as well. There's a bit of an option there with the mount. Funny that he's in a box. God, I sound so bland and stupid saying something like that, but I mean, yeah, it is funny. His brother's just in a box. Obviously, he's a robot. Do bear the SNAF ideas in mind here, because I really believe in those. I really believe in those. I mean, more and more by the day.
He's powered down!
No, no, no! Those idiots cut him off from the golem's neural net. It's like a black box. He must be going out of his mind.
You gotta reboot him, quick!
Brother, friend, the horror. I couldn't see, hear, speak, move.
SNAF. This
No
is
sense
SNAF.
of
This is what
space
SNAF is
or
experiencing.
time. Only nothingness.
Seriously.
Blish, you're
Why
back
is this
now.
here?
That's all over.
I would prefer not to experience that again.
Never again. We promise. Right, Gork?
Indubitably.
That sounds truly awful, Blish. Are you sure you're all right? I think so. It's good to see you all again.
We'll take care of him, Commander. Go ahead and meet the packed ship.
Right. Okay, are they going to keep talking? It's so dicey to know when I can start talking. Yeah, okay, the music is like OTT. I don't know, it's not, this is a new track, right? Is this on their SoundCloud? McLean, you're a legend, by the way, and I really want him to keep updating that SoundCloud. Is it on there already? It is really dramatic because the music's like new. In some ways, I hate that they waste a new music track here, because it's not a particularly emotional beat, and as we saw in the core story, if you keep overusing really good, sad music, it loses all its meaning when you finally tie it with a good moment. Like by the time you get to the end, like some of the last character deaths, the ones that should be really impacting you, you've heard that audio 1,000 times before. Oh no, my plant pot fell over, and like some Sylvari storyline, and you get the, you know, the tragedy music. It's suddenly not so tragic when you're mourning over the death of a Paisha, right? But yeah, the SNAF thing, I guess it's not as common knowledge as I expected it to be. You might wonder, not just the music here, this feels out of place, right? It feels kind of, like, why is this, what are they doing here? Why have they introduced these new characters? The point is that SNAF's consciousness might still exist within Kralkatorrik, and that this season is hurtling towards a big conflict with Kralkatorrik. And the idea is they're talking about how consciousness can exist in different vessels and outside of people's original bodies and can be recovered and can go through different experiences. So what they're doing here is they're introducing subject material that's going to be extremely relevant for what's going on with SNAF. That's the theory, that SNAF is not out of this story, that by the end of the season we may communicate with SNAF again. And it may explain stuff such as where the Master of Peace got Aureen's egg and all of those kinds of stories. And I mean, to really frightening degree here, let's look at the dialogue. Brother, friends. Just imagine for a second that we're at the end of the season and we're with Zodja, who has come with us in the fight against Kralkatorrik. Maybe some other reunited members of Destiny's Edge. Maybe Logan's there as well with the Pact or something. Imagine, right, we're with this big encounter with Kralkatorrik. SNAF is revealed himself. You could almost just imagine this line straight away. Brother, friends, the horror. Obviously not brother. I couldn't see, hear, speak, move. No sense of time or space. Only nothingness, inhabiting the mind of an elder dragon. Now, maybe if he was an actor and a known participant in stuff that went on with the Master of Peace, that would obviously contradict it. But I think the whole point, that's what they're doing. They're opening a door here to a whole side of the game so that it feels really natural when the big SNAF reveal comes. I'm gaining confidence in the SNAF idea. I really am. You got to think about that with all of this. The purpose of why this is here. Everything they're doing is so compact. It's in the service of something else. There's nothing arbitrarily thrown in. And I think that's what that's in the service of. What do I know, though? They won't bring back Snaf. Nobody cares about him. That's a good idea, but I also say you could quite as comfortably put it the other way. Maybe they don't like that people don't care about him. Maybe it's always been a bit of a weird aberration in Guild Wars that, like, you can see it in the Let's Play. I don't know whether you're watching it, but, like, so much is about Snaf. There's about 1,000 times across all the story steps and dungeons where you can say, who's Snaf? Who's Snaf? Who's Snaf? And they never, like, have that firm ground or understanding because it's all just so reliant on reading a novel. Like, a fraction of the player base is experienced. So maybe, like, in a weird retroactive way, they're trying to properly now fold Snaf more cohesively and coherently into the game's experience and sort of, you know, fix it a little bit later, if you get what I mean. Do you think Snaf could be... But, and I mean, even if we do ignore what I just argued and we just say Snaf's a nobody that no one cares about, it's been too long. Couldn't you say the exact same thing about all kinds of old plot threads? You could say the same about Livia. You could say the same about a ton of different stuff. And yet they've been fair game and clearly have been re-established. So, I don't know.
That overseas aid shipment should be here soon.
I like how some of the lines are really short, because remember, as you do this, as they implement this, they have to expect people are just going to YOLO past everything, so sometimes it's short, and that gives you confidence you don't have to stop and stand still constantly, and it's a bit awkward and janky and jerky to get the story in. It flows better, you know, in movement.
I see it!
So here's the sloop. This precisely, you see how the sloop rocks and stuff? This is... first of all, a dynamic object that's not there unless you're in this story instance. This is what the Mini is as well, though. The Mini is a tiny version of this big-ass ship. And doesn't it look gorgeous? If I could go first person there, turn that off. It's quite the screeny, don't you think? Or active desktop, where it just rocks slightly in the background. That looks like really good with the... There you go. There is my daily stream where at the point where I say the depth below looks good. I wank myself off over it.
But they are my countrymen. And Pack Marshal Thackeray...
I am thankful to Pack Marshal Thackeray for Kryta's magnanimous aid, and for your auspicious presence here. But this is Elonian soil, and our people must come together as equals. So I will greet the delegation, introduce my fellow nobles, and then we will join you. And it seems the commander here.
Councillor Myamine, Lord Farron.
Nice to see you again. It seems I am twice blessed today. If you'll please excuse me, please.
Perfect timing, Commander. The packed supply ship is here. Come, stand next to me, so we can be seen together.
Oh, okay. It's not the sloop. I see, guys. It's not. It's different.
Krytans, welcome. It is my extreme pleasure to...
This cutscene's pre-rendered, and you'll sneakily notice our commander doesn't appear in it.
Don't let the scarabs into the city!
Maureen! Oh, thank goodness. Can you...
Okay, no more dialogue. I know that's a bit awkward, but yeah, look how good that was. I mean, I really like it. The pre-renders annoys me because it does get more blurry where I play at a higher resolution than 1080p and they're only encoded at 1080p, so it stretches a bit. But yeah, the visual effects for the plague flowing before us. I think I just remembered, do I not have shadows on? I don't. Let's turn those bad boys on. We should see the difference soon. And reflections are super low. Our frames are so bad. Blame the summer heat, seriously. I can't do anything more except bust the PC. I'll have to do that. Blame the heat. But yeah, Aurene comes. It's all looking good. It's all looking gravy. Aurene is such a bad bitch. What happens if I walk into her fire? Does it do damage? Oh, it does actually hurt us. It's a weird version of burning as well. It looks like she's come down. Anyway, so yeah, what we got here? We come inside, jump or use a mount to squash the scarab infestation. Can Aurene solo this? It looks like someone made some progress. I guess it's recharging though. So this time it actually oh, and I'll show you it on a mount. What was it? It could be any mount, right? Oh, what? Why am I in combat? This time we get damage numbers on it. Again, just feels really satisfying. Oh, there was another mechanic there. Let's see. Here you go. So covered in scarabs. I showed this on the other stream. If I toggle off my UI, oh no, toggle off the UI doesn't like. You see the outer ring of my thing? That's like when you get blind and it's black on the edges. Here we get obviously a new plague effect. I don't think the mechanic's really used in any convincingly interesting way. It's just the damage over time. It says you are panicked. Scarabs grow on your flesh. Being panicked isn't really a thing. It doesn't trigger fear at intervals. It doesn't, you know, it's not any kind of CC. And with great combat so fast here, it's not too... Anyway, oh. Last bit here. Why there's a rock here as well, I don't know. But yeah, sorry, the in-game sound effect's really loud. Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. Well, sort of. There you go. I'll turn it down until more dialogue comes on, yeah? That's what I should have done. Sorry. Jump or use a mount. Yeah, we did it. Did it bug? Please tell me it didn't bug. A bug? Bug in the system? Are we just supposed to walk over to the boat? Not yet. By the way, I love the actual animation. Someone in chat said, so they're working on dynamic ships? Hell yeah, they are. Did you not play last patch or the first one? They've done so much to do with boat stuff. So much. And the underwater update, I don't know, some kind of big nautical theme on the way to Cantha is feeling likely. I missed one, did I? Oh, all the way over here. Why is the bar empty then? T.Y. Oreen.
The scarabs are dead. Get to safety.
All right, so we get an illusion of Joko. I think this is the first time we've seen this.
People of Abnu, this is the price you pay for declaring your independence. Well, Commander, what are you doing here? Small world. Or maybe it's just Joko's getting larger. And now, I've acquired the Scarab Plague. The genuine article this time. Thank you for repeatedly failing to stop me. The carnage to come will be on your head. The final act of your pathetic little tale. But first things first. 10 seconds to curtain. Places for Act 1, please. Places for Act 1. Break a leg, people. It's showtime. Alive or dead, all serve me. Rise, pets. Rise!
All right. So, oh my god, our first combat of the stream. And I still don't have my traits and stuff set up, so don't expect anything incredible. I'll change things when we go into the next instance. Yes, that is divergent dialogue based on what we do. Here's what's really embarrassing and bad. I don't actually remember. I love how just my axe autos is enough here. This is hilarious. And on a Condi gear as well. Here's the really bad thing. I don't remember. My first character I did this on, I think I followed Joko, and I don't remember what he says, but I'm very suddenly interested in how he feels if you followed him. Well, there you go. Now, the idea that he has, like, those tar effigies to speak through is awesome. Now, some of you will be wondering at this point, because we did the speculation on the other patches, is it really Joko? Is it the Order of Shadows pretending that Joko got out of the underworld when really he didn't? And are they manipulating things? Is the grand conspiracy there? I will just say straight away that...
Slow down now, Commander. This show is just getting started. Scene 2. Enter Istari, the inexorable.
Oh, he just says thanks for the banners, does he? All right, fair enough.
Discovered her myself. Let it out.
I will just say it's not that. That whole conspiracy thing is not true. It really is Joko. Order of Shadows are a bit shady, and they might do something with them in the story. I'm trying to DPS slowly so that we get the dialogue and my rant can be done by the time we get more. It's not true. She basically... it really is Joko. On the AMA, they pretty much bluntly said, listen, we didn't really know what we wanted to do with Joko for episode 1 and 2, so we just kept him in the background. And that's why his influence was a little bit lower back there. And then they kind of justified it as he's genuinely a bit shocked by how capable the commander was, and he was being a bit more serious and edgy in the background. But it really is Joko, and all that Order of Shadow stuff never culminated into anything in the end. I suppose it still potentially could, but you'd be really grasping for straws there. And frankly, the idea of 2 big imposter stories back to back in 2 separate seasons, I can imagine why the devs would have ignored that and not wanted to do that, really. Yeah, this is some pretty fascinating Ranger gameplay. My pet has taken basically no damage. We've done nothing but auto and use Winter's Bite and just strafe out of these. Funny stuff. The other thing that I wanted to say, taking this boss slowly, is...
Scene 3. Cast of Thousand.
I really think the trailer ruined this bit for me.
There's no dragon in this show. That's cheating. Nobody likes a cheater, Commander. What do we do to cheaters, Istari? We put them to death.
Alright, there we go. Okay, now they're pulling us in. We know this mechanic. I quite like to see this here. I'm going to mess the dodge up now, aren't I? Didn't even do that much. Knocks down foes, reawakens allies. We're stuck in the ring now. This is kind of interesting that they force us to be closer. And I'll actually do some DPS now. What was I saying? Yeah, the trailer. The trailer with the curtains, blah, blah, blah. I listened to that and watched that on the trailer so often that I almost feel like it was a little bit ruined. I can stand behind the pet here and it can absorb the mechanic, can't it? It almost felt a little bit ruined, but I'm also happy it got done really quickly and I just wasn't waiting to see where it finally appear on the release. Yeah, look at that. We can literally just stand behind the pet and it will absorb all the projectiles. Lovely. I don't know if I really got too much more to say. Except that, is Istari anywhere else in the game? Did we see Istari in the expansion itself? I'm not sure. What's the F2 here? It's not a Condi cleanser or anything. It seems like the only thing I have to do is dodge that. Yeah. All I have to do is dodge the slam and stand still. Okay. Spike trap. Yes, our build isn't fully set up, guys. Don't worry. I guess I forgot as we were going in. And there, true story, I didn't dodge because I was scratching my balls. Genuinely. I took my hand on the keyboard for a second, like a split second. You're 99% sure it was intentionally ruined? Yeah, maybe.
I do hope you'll join me in Dandara for Act 2, Commander. I've reserved you a front row seat. Exit, Joko.
Oh, that laughing's good. You can tell they got some good practice with that from Mad King Thorn. That's pretty good. They're going to talk, so...
Joko? Good gods, he's insane!
We've always lived in the shadow of that Lich, hoping he'd leave us be. I must alert the rest of the council.
Commander! What happened?
Joko intercepted the ship. Exposed all the crew and passengers to the Scarab Plague.
Oh my. A full spectrum outbreak. This is incredible!
Boris!
Oh, right. Sorry. Tragedy. Terrible.
That lunatic despot stole the Pact's war supplies and murdered my countrymen. He must die.
According to Joko, he can't die. He just pops back to life like a demented Jack-in-the-Box.
Plenty of accounts to back that up. Then again, Joko says a lot of things. He claims he killed Balthazar.
Stealing our credit, eh, Commander? So what's our plan?
It's not that easy. Humans can catch the plague. If we go to war, your people will have to sit it out.
Seems to me this Joko has already declared war on us. And I, for one, am joining the fight.
Gorik, Blish, let's, give Lord Farron and the commander some privacy.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Lord Farron, this is a delicate matter.
You gave me busy work when you faced Balthazar. Not again. Humans have the most to lose here. Honor demands a Crichton join the fight against this monstrosity. I shall be that Crichton.
Right. God, I got so much to talk about here.
Rare and valuable.
Yes, guys, I know about the boat. Don't worry, we were always going to go in the boat. We had the other dialogue, though. You do it at the end of the instance. Totally fine. Oh, my God. Yes, I get that there's stream delay, and people are still basically saying it over and over. Man, well, let's go back. I completely forget. There was about a ton of things that I was going to say. The comment about stealing our credit, I like, because obviously that's such a hot button for the community about having their credit stolen. Now, it's kind of tricky to talk about things out of order. But there's two things that happened here. First of all, Joko said, "You brought a dragon? That's not fair." What I loved that moment, right? When I was playing this, I was like, oh, hype. Joko's talking about a dragon. Joko, this, like, one of the most ancient of things, really. I mean, not the most ancient. But what I wouldn't give to have a scene where I sit down and talk to Joko about the dragons. As I was mentioning earlier on this stream, bringing back Guild Wars 1 stuff is exciting because we want it expanded on. We don't just want to retread old ground. We want to expand on it. And, I mean, to some extent, we want our expectations conformed to. Like, Balthazar acting completely different to how he was kind of felt to be in Guild Wars 1 is annoying to see. But, like, we want the horizons pushed. We want to know more about Joko, about his origins, about what he knows about this world. And one of the particularly interesting things is, yeah, what does he know about dragons? What does this Lich know about dragons? If you remember pre-release and the movement of the world, what was actually exciting about... I'm asking you, chat. Here you go. Type it out for me. What was most exciting about Joko from the movement of the world? What was 90% of the speculation and theory craft about Joko's involvement in Guild Wars 2? What was it? What were people looking at? Because you get a glimpse of it here when he sees Aurene. He says, "You brought a dragon." And he says that, but the patch doesn't dive into it. And the same thing later here as well. Where is it? You gave me busy work. When we're talking about how he can't be killed, you think that this patch is all about how do you kill a Lich? Surely they're going to really play with the Lich coming back to life thing. Maybe they'll explore it. This whole idea that there's going to be a big trap, he'll come back to life, he'll betray us. You know, that's such a fascinating thing. Any fantasy franchise could really deal with that subject material in a fascinating way. And I don't think the patch really does that very much. So that's another opportunity that they could have expanded the horizons. Talked about previous so-called deaths of Joko, other people coming up against this, how serious of a roadblock this is. Even drawing connections to Vizier Kilbron and how killing on a bloodstone was the solution back then. And, you know, the soul batteries and talking about phylacteries and all of those things. That's what the nerd in me wants. And the patch, spoilers, won't really touch on any of it. And that's where I feel a bit disappointed with Joko. Anyway, back to my question that I posed to you in chat. Let's see if people got it. Yeah, why would you be on a stream if I mean, I've not explicitly spoiled anything. I've inferred some things, but we will see. There you go. NG Laru got it, at least one person. The point was that he was going to fight Zaitan. It was going to be how Joko reacted to the Elder Dragon threat and fought against Zaitan. And we were looking at the Risen versus Joko and all that. And we got a little bit of it in POF. But how much Joko v Branded did we get? How much Joko Kralkatoric influence was there? Not so much. It was more Joko Forged and Joko Balthazar. And that's, you know, just one of the complications that came in from having 3 antagonists at once, which in many ways I admired about Path of Fire. But still, like... I don't feel satisfied on any of those angles. And so here, when he went, "Oh, you brought a dragon," honestly, I was ready to go, man. I was about to. It was good. It was exciting. But unfortunately, that's all we got. So who knows what Joko knows about dragons? The story won't get around to talking more about that. Not in this release, anyway. It might again in the future. Scrolling. I have to go to the Joko statue. It might be the biggest lore bomb we've ever had in a Living Story episode. Really? More than, like, Omad's machine and stuff. So, yeah, not for that. I still don't know what that is on this patch. Anyway, yeah, look at this dynamic object, this ship that actually comes through, full collision. It's got all of these, I think that, is this actually the same from the Istan Palawadan meta from earlier in the season? Is it the exact same? I don't really know. But it feels big and awesome. The contrast of lighting in this area of the map is so 10 out of 10. Don't you whine to me about DirectX 9. This is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. All right, let's calm down. And in the boat, you will find a statue.
Nothing to see here. No, who am I kidding? This monument is the finest in Joku idolatry. Consider this a gift to Amnu, in preparation for its subjugation. I'm nothing if not a patron of the arts. Commissioned it from Polito himself, Corner's most renowned sculptor. He loves rare delicacies, so I served him his wife's liver. God went overboard with the Kaya. Polito's nose wouldn't stop running.
So here we have a statue, and we can just keep getting dialogue from Joko. I love this. The devs were kind of geniuses in this patch, because what they realized was they wanted, for one reason or another, they wanted to give us as much dialogue from Joko as they possibly could, as quickly as they possibly could. And they used these statues to great effect. I talked about this on last weekend's streams when we were exploring Corner, where we see lots of them. It's through these you get so much dialogue from him, even though he's not actually there. And they don't have to work out the logistics of getting the commander next to the Lich all the time. And they don't have to do it through a third party. They can get it straight from Joko and give him so much personality, infuse so much in through this as a mechanism. It's great. It's really smart. What was it about point of interest? Did you guys say that this is a point of interest you can only get in the story instance, in its phase?
I had to post noon for 12 hours. It was worth it. It captures my menace, don't you think? And my unshakable brio.
Is this the first patch NPCs actually jump around platforms? I don't know whether it's the first, but it is utilized a lot, and impressively so, yeah.
Oh, had Polito construct one of you as well? On your knees, of course, and blubbering, as if crying out, why? 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 It's where all corn and birds prefer to poop.
And then it says the statue has nothing more to say. So we can destroy it or walk away. You get an achievement for destroying it.
Until we meet again, Commander.
I never walked away before, so there's some nice little dialogue from walking away. But you do get an achievement if you break it, and that'll be a lot of what you do here. So still, I think we can get a little bit more value out of this. I think, maybe a little bit. God, the water looks just so good here at Amnu. You don't remember getting an achievement? I'm sure I got an achievement. Didn't I get an achievement? I mean, I can't be bothered to look through the whole list. Maybe I'm wrong. Timey here in the Golem as well. I wanted to talk about that. Oh, we can't go. We got kicked out from the boundaries. It's pretty cool to see her in the Golem with the glass off. I don't know how often they really do that, but it's nice. I feel so bad for the Norn, though, because it's like seeing an Asura in their Golem like that, it's like, oh, you get all that flavor and juice. How often do we get to see a Norn get their equivalent where they, like, transformed, you know? Oh, you don't get an achievement. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Sorry, you don't get an achievement. Like I said, I'm the most knowledgeable here. There's a ship to Istan, by the way, that we can just get on. And now we got to regroup with Timey, Goric, and Blish. Back out here, this is the Consortium area. I wonder how many players did this event right when the patch came out and remembered that the Consortium were messing around over here. But yeah, okay. Regroup with them. Oh yeah, we're in the open world, and look, Timey's out here. Goric, Blish, they're all out here. This is the phasing you guys were talking about, yeah? We're in open world. Now, let me just demo this to you all. I mean, literally, this is just Guild Wars. This is not an instance. If I go onto, this is the... All right, this is at least interior, so... If I go onto my main... please show us your reshade. My reshade is not actually doing much work in Path of Fire. It's the devs. A lot of it's just the devs lighting. I've accentuated ever so slightly, but You thought I was the specialist. Yeah, but, you know, it takes time, man. It takes time. Okay, who am I kidding? I'm not a specialist. Wait, I don't even know where a waypoint is. Here we go. Yeah, I think you can't add the portal scroll to the tome still, even. While we load in, Alpha X Neo, thank you so much there for the sub, dude. Alien EXE says Yahoo. Gernstein, you just hit a year. Congratulations, Gernstein. Gluten-free guy. It's good to see you. Anybody who subbed today, thank you so much. I will call your names out very much. I really appreciate the support. Just remember, guys, if you don't use Twitch much, but you have Amazon Prime, you can give one person completely free to you a sub, which gives you all the perks, and it helps me out. So if anyone has been enjoying the streams or whatever, just remember that's possible. It takes like 2 seconds. You can click a button, and yeah, I'll shout your name out if you do. Thank you very much. Earlier as well, we had Navid Zint, Utamis, Herataran, Long Live Joko from Ocean Omega. So thank you, guys. There you go. Someone did it, literally. I mean, how long did that take them? 2 seconds? Zune0123. No, that's a different person. Who is it that just... Yeah, Zune0123. Thank you, Zune. Thanks, man. All right, yeah, so here, if I come here on list, what we're talking about with phasing, same map, same place, same thing of open world, and yet now you don't see any characters here. Now, just remember, I could be in a party and standing next to someone else, and Liz is standing here. I'm actually technically standing inside Timey on this. Do you see how these crates don't have collision? I wonder if the devs put these crates here to encourage... Wow, that would be so metagamey and so much psychology going on there. Do you think these kegs are newly added? And they don't have collision or anything, but do you think they're here because they know that just naturally players wouldn't be interested in standing so that they're clipped inside of objects? And in this way, they've like slightly encouraged players to never stand in what is actually tiny. And what do you think? No, I'm insane. That would be so. That would be the one. That would be genius, don't you think? That would be genius. Because nobody likes this. Because Fashion Wars 2 and stuff. So you can't see my dies if I'm standing inside it. I gotta say, that would be pretty goddamn smart if that's what they were doing. But anyway. Imagine if those kegs work the same way as soldiers outside Amnoon. Soldiers outside Amnoon. Oh yeah, because there's been a lot of phasing here. Like, if you ally with the Awakened, you find Awakened walking around Amnoon. That's another amazing conversation we need to talk about later. At the end of this story, at the end of this patch, we need to talk about the payoff for that Path of Fire thing. When you choose which side to follow. But yeah, if you look now... Oh, no. Yeah, these are the kegs. Yeah, I'm insane. That's a shame. That would have been really good. A race around Amnoon. I kind of want to do that on the Beetle, you know. I want to go back to some of the old races. I've not done that yet. Would you guys be annoyed if we waited a second to do that? Anyway, hey, Timey.
So, what do we do?
Unfortunately, Farron's right. Joko's declared war, and we have to meet him head on.
I'll get the word out. You might pay the Primeval Dynasty another visit. They've experienced the plague firsthand.
Good thinking. They have an axe to grind with Joko, too. We need to marshal all the forces we can get.
Do it fast. Those scarabs were first generation, but Pestilentix termitroxis has a very quick reproductive cycle. Once Joko cultivates a third generation, he'll be able to unleash a full-scale pandemic. We're talking a matter of days.
Gandhara's in the heart of Korda. It'll take weeks to march an army all the way there. No, please don't.
I might have a solution. I have a prototype of the gate system Joko stole to send minions into Tyria. It could open a portal deep in Korda, somewhere in the vicinity of Joko's fortress.
That would cut out travel time and circumvent a ton of enemy forces.
It'll be makeshift and unstable, so we need to do it in an open expanse that's away from civilization.
Set up in the desert near the tomb of the Primeval Kings. I'll meet you there after I pay our ghostly friends a visit.
So there you go. Tomb of the Primeval Kings. Now, when I replay this, I realize so clearly what they're doing. This patch is all about What you're watching in this single patch is essentially the entire Fort Trinity into Ore arc. It's literally they're telling this story of waging war against something as fast as possible. And the story matches. We do something really jammy and cheeky. It's so profound what we're about to do in the story. If you think about the application of this in the Zaitan fight or even the Morgemoth fight, it's kind of hilarious. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, so the next location we're going to go to is the Tomb of the Primeval Kings. It's only 2 minutes till the race starts, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the race. I'm pretty interested in seeing what that'll be like on the Beetle, even though technically we shouldn't have it yet in this part of the story. Whatever. Yeah, we go to the Tomb of the Primeval Kings. I like that was included in this patch. It was another really cool area of Path of Fire. That means that we actually get to go back to regular expansion locations twice in this release, which is great. And it makes sense because obviously the ghosts there have an axe to grind on Joko, and I like that the devs remembered that and paid that off. So yeah. You even see Dead Vigil that went to corner at the start of Path of Fire. Wait, what? You see Dead Vigil that went to corner at the start of POF? Vigil? The Beetle is probably going to be real difficult to get right. What, in this race? Do I remember Batman the animated series? I do, because I was just wondering if you get the Mark Hamill Joker vibe from Joko.
If you want to be part of it, come tell me.
I don't remember the animated series well enough to know Mark Hamill's performance. I know that everyone really enjoyed it though, and Heath Ledger's Joko was referenced in the AMA. So we'll see. All right, we're gonna stop just for a second here, guys. Mentioned by none other than Jessica Price herself. What armor am I wearing? This is the bounty hunter stuff. It's amazingly dyed. I spent a long time figuring it out.
Utak's legs are too short.
Christ, there's a lot going on in chat. I'm really sorry that I'm not going to be able to keep up with you very well today, guys. Do you think we're going to get any jumping puzzles this season? Good question. I mean, they can do it. They can turn mounts off. They can make mount, disabled areas. It's funny as well because they were such geniuses in season 3. They really were. As much as the whining went to unbelievable levels with Chalice of Tears, it was genius. It was really interesting way of exploring how to make a jumping puzzle tough, okay? And people got angry because they couldn't get their achievement really quickly and they couldn't get their loot really quickly. But it was really interesting exploration of what a jumping puzzle could be in Guild Wars 2. And it's one jumping puzzle out of tons, right? Like when you contextualize it within all of Guild Wars 2, it was great. The other one, the complete opposite philosophies at play, the Siren's Landing jumping puzzle, is possibly one of the best ones in the entire game. I just missed the starting line, didn't I? Oh no, 5 seconds. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So they did really well with the jumping puzzles, and now this season we haven't seen much. Go. Oh, but it's going to no. Oh, the gates are working. Shit. Oh no. No. Oh. Jesus Christ. Why am I so bad at racing in this game? I swear I'm a pro. I'm a specialist, guys. Oh. Jules says you knew I was going to do that. Well, you could have helped me out, Jules. I could have had the support of the hive mind. Oh, God. Am I even going to... Okay, we got it. We had to jump, but we did get it. It's okay. I'll catch up. Trick? Yeah, baby. Oh, I think I got penalty for that trick. Oh, this is good. Look out. Whoa. It wasn't too bad. Boosting. I'm getting going. Come. Oh, fuck. This is not designed for Beetle, let me tell you. This is not Beetle safe. I don't even remember coming back here on the Jackal or anything. I mean, we're all familiar with the Griffin shortcut. If you guys don't know, there's a moment where you can get really high up and instead... Look, we're overtaking him. Oh my God. Look at those casual raptor users who don't have living world. Look at this. Oh, no, I hit it, man. It's all right. We'll be fine. Up. Boost. Oh, I did boost, but it barely moved me. What is this? What is that? Oh, there's too much uphill here. Oh, God. There we go. We're okay. I had to do that. I had to. I know we sacrificed our endurance, but I had to do that. I need some endurance quick. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, I'm not gonna make that. I'm not gonna make it. Fuck. Oh no. Oh no, I'm embarrassed. It's alright, I'm still gonna be in first place. I don't actually believe that, by the way. Okay. Oh, that was we just nipped that. Good, it's all downhill now. Oh, this is it. This is that Sonic experience. Oh my god, this is so good. I know it was designed for the Raptor. No, come on, I'm holding down the drift button that entire time. Can we get out? Oh, this is actually possibly one of my most embarrassing moments on the internet. Oh, we've had to resort to the bunny. Oh, this could have been so good. Oh, God. Look at how just comfortable the Raptor is. Oh, Agon Wolf. Loser. What a nerd. What a no-life. I can't believe that they beat me. God. Get a life, Agon Wolf. Everyone who's better at me is a no-life. Everyone worse than me is a noob. That's the rule of video games. I even got cooked out and lost my endurance there because of the water. I didn't try to do that. The water was just deep enough to kick me off. When you drift, move the camera in the direction you want to go. Oh, is that the big thing? No, 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 no. What? Look how slow that guy on that Raptor is going. Did you see the guy on the silver Raptor? He's racing like my grandma, and he's just beat me. Second place, Squid Liquid.
Reports of creatures driven insane by Leia this year coming from all over.
This game is totally unfair, and I don't like it. Wow, I've never actually been to the Tomb of the Primeval Kings on this Soul Beast. All right, we're gonna use more Beetle anyway because we're gonna walk there now. All right. Grammy potatoes just made me eat dust. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, it's so gross, so disgusting. Well, maybe. Do you know what? I really want to see just the community go back to all of these old ones now and just see the most optimized route by using all mounts, because that's obviously the cool thing, right? Does anybody know if the mount add-on person has done an update for the Beetle? That'd be really nice. The fools like me that refuse to keybind them. Yeah, like swap from the Raptor to the Beetle to the Griffin at the perfect time. I imagine you can get some pretty ridiculous speeds there. Good, we got red there. That's nice. We're going to go through the mine here, which is on the left. Let's actually try and do at least one drift. There you go. That's it. The second there's no competition, I'm fine. I was going to say a bit like the England football team, but we're actually doing okay here. Oh, the gate is shut. That's interesting. I can pass through anyway. All right. I was going to say, it'd be really weird if Living World forced me to do Act 1 of POF to get through. Do you ever think about how the Beetle feels rolling around and bumping into all those corners and drops? Not really. I mean, it's a fantasy creature, so... Oh, good. This starts as downhill. 10 out of 10. It doesn't worry me too much. There you go. Got the Fang of the Mokakeli there. For my Soul Beast specialization weapon. Oh, God. This is bad. I don't want to use up my boost. We're going the long way. I don't think I'd make that jump, so... No, don't hit the fish. Keep some speed. Thank you. There we go. Oh, this mount truly is the highlight of this patch to me. Wow, and the story. We can possibly ramp... Oh, will this kick me off in... How are we going to get through the ogre fortifications? I don't want to stop rolling. I guess we've lost so much speed, it's fine anyway. To be fair, they have a hard shell and a squishy body, so they should be fine. Here's a question. Do they molt, do you think? Do you think that they, basically grow out of it eventually and then grow a new one? This area of the Highlands is gorgeous. So much of POF is gorgeous, to be honest. And HOT, too. Most of what you'll find in terms of Guild Wars is aesthetic and judgment and discussion about that is really Corteria-oriented stuff, but the game is just... It's fantastic when you get to this later expansion stuff. And that's one of the greatest things about Living World, getting me to come back here, you know. Right, oh yeah, we don't have to go that deep.
You came to the wrong
Furious! How did you... Doesn't matter. I'm sorry to intrude, Majesties. But it's true. I do need your help.
No, you don't! Joko's been making threats to unleash the Scarab Plague for centuries. Demented, but hollow. Like his head.
Not this time. He has the real thing.
You're certain?
I've seen the scarabs, and the corpses, and the awakened corpses. We're going to war to try and stop him.
That plague nearly wiped out humanity. And the scarabs devoured every living creature in their path. No. This can't happen again, sister. And it won't. What you need, Commander, is an army of the dead. Which you yourself can lead. Oh yes, Commander. We can smell the stench of the lost on you. Musky. The scarabs will smell it too. You're an unbefitting host. Lucky for you. So it's settled. You shall have a legion of spirits for your siege on Vandara. And 2 primeval queens by your side.
Majesties, this world will be forever in your debt. I'll meet you and your army on the battlefield. Timey, the primevals are crashing the party and they're bringing us a ghost army. Is that portal set up?
Just finishing up, tagging your location. Wait, did you say ghost army?
On my way.
I mean, that was easy enough. Get some obvious... I mean, I don't know whether it was a direct inspiration and specifically from this or just fantasy in general, but Ghost Army, I can't help but think of Lord of the Rings. Yes, Benji said in chat, I love that we went back to old characters because we hardly did that in Season 3. You're so right. We hardly did that. It feels so much more directed and realistic and real as a story instead of just that prophecies thing where you're on an excuse for a world tour. It makes so much sense that you come back to these two, and there's so much more cohesion and like payoff when you look back at the expansion itself. And when you do this arc now and you come to the Tomb of the Primeval Kings and you barter with them, it will feel good because they will have a very real role to play later. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I don't know whether there's anything else really to say except that I have to admit this line here, Musky is funny. The scarabs will smell it too. You're an unbefitting host. Lucky for you. This is the ass pull, right? This is the... Oh, I love how I cling to the stairs there to get some speed. I'm not going to go into the frickin' portal there, am I, if I accidentally go the wrong way. This would annoy me if I was playing a human. It does seem like a bit of a cop-out. And my question to ArenaNet would be, if you're just gonna do that, what's the point in expanding the horizon of the Scarab Plague anyway? That it only affects humans. If you're just gonna ass-pull it for the commander? Anyway, why not just say it affects everyone? I don't know. If you're not gonna do anything special with the fact that it only affects humans. Unless there's more to come, or I've missed something in the patch that makes that quite sincere. A while back, you sent me my guild. I sent you a guild application, and you sent me back a mail saying welcome, but I never got an invite. Can I cash in on that now? Would I have? Really? You should have. Was that this morning? Did I mess up this morning? Send me another mail and just say, hey, I'm the guy from Twitch, and yeah, hopefully I'll remember to do it. I'm really sorry about that if I've buggered that up. But yeah, right. So we come back out here, and this is quite a special moment here for the stream, I have to say. So we got Blish.
That's the portal? How are we going to get an entire army through that?
This is the base prototype. Still stabilizing it for mass transit.
But we can send you now to prepare for the battle. Make sure we're not transporting into an ambush.
All I have to do is turn it on and... Drat. My arm. I think it got sent through.
Sit tight, Blish. I'll get it.
Sorry, Commander. Last hiccup. I promise.
And And so what do we get? Forearmed is forewarned. Now, this is quite a special moment that I'm going to dedicate a second to on the stream. This is where the blocking issue became. So we've already spent 2 hours playing the patch. I know I go a bit slower. This is how I treat video games, and a lot of other people will have been here in like 10 minutes. This is 2 hours is the patch for me, and this was where the block was. We're not even on the new map yet. This is where every time people tried to join, it crashed the server. In fact, I think webs of servers, and they had to isolate it all. So there was kind of a really special thing. I talked about this on YouTube already, where when the patch came out, you had tons of players standing here. Most of them would come up on this wall because enemies can aggro and spawn and attack you. But there were hordes, zergs of hundreds and hundreds of Guild Wars fans dancing and dropping bobblehead things and playing costume brawl fights and Belcher's Bluff and just chilling and chatting here outside the Tomb of the Primeval Kings, just as we would way back when Guild Wars 1 first came out. And it was really kind of a fascinating snapshot that will never return. People won't be hanging out here, but I really liked it. And it reminded me of something as well. Hopefully you don't find this too boring, but how do I explain this? This is outside a story instance, right? And you have hordes of players standing around, chatting with one another, talking. It was one of the most Guild Wars 1 experiences I've ever had in the sequel. And the reason for that is, and I loved it, but the reason for that is, Guild Wars 1 was structured that its core story was hard and also was group-based, team-based. They had bots, they had AI, they had henchmen and later heroes. But it was all about, it was a team-based game, so it was about grouping up with other people. And the way that the outpost system worked was, and I guess the way that consumers treated MMOs and the speed we got through it and all this other stuff, Guild Wars Prophecies was that snapshot I just described across the whole world. For at least several months, not just for a day, not for a few hours, not because there was a bug, but that's the kind of online game it was. In that, dotted all around the world, you had a mission here, mission here, mission here, mission here, mission here. Especially later, Thunderhead Keep was a very profound one. Sorry, it would be more like over here. The 3 over here. You'd go and you would find that. You would find hordes of people spread around the instance, chatting to one another. Except they're not there because of a bug, because they've been forced to. They're there because the game's asking them to be social and to interact with one another and to run through the mission. You know, you'd have people selling runs. You'd have people looking for monks mostly, frankly. And it's a weird thing in that you'd kind of, in the moment, people were frustrated by that, I'm sure. And they'd be like, oh, this is annoying. This is waiting around to have fun, which Guild Wars 2 was always so desperately trying to get away with. That's why it's so easy and solo-based. But there was something kind of magical about that, I think. And it didn't just exist for a tiny snapshot. It was there for like 6 months after Prophecies came out. You'd have that. And then when it ended, you know, it was because people moved to Grenth's Footprint. And then when that ended, it's because you had the same thing happening, but in Cantha now. And then when that ended, it was all over Alona, you'd have that. And then, you know, and people slowly congregated to the end game areas. But the point is, if Guild Wars 2 and had never been concepted and Utopia not cancelled, and philosophies changed with Eye of the North, with reputation titles and stuff, you have to understand this franchise would have been like that forevermore, really. New campaigns, it would have been, everyone's doing that just in the new campaign. And eventually areas would have dried up, obviously. And it was a really profound moment for me because I realized, holy shit, the only reason we don't get this in Living World patches is because of that slight change. This bug immediately brought it back. But now look at it. The patch is so new. And what do we have? One dude? This Scourge standing here. 2 dudes. Maybe this guy as well. And it, I don't know. It was a weird crystallizing moment for me where I don't know. It just felt like that bridge between the 2 games was not as long as it otherwise could be. It's not as alien. It's not as different than everything. I don't know. This is so waffly and fucking stupid. Another thing, though, I'm going to let you all down. Just as everybody had to wait for ages to do Forearmed is Forewarned on patch day, you're all going to have to wait as well, because I'm going to have to close the stream down. Seriously, I'm really sorry. I will be back tomorrow, though. In less than 24 hours, I'll be back, and we will keep going with this. But that's going to be the end of the stream. I would go further and I would go longer, but this is a really long instance we're going into, and we'll have to stop halfway, so what's the point? I'll also note Forearmed is Forewarned is the reverse of a personal story instance, which is Forewarned is Forearmed. though story-wise, I don't think there's any difference. Also, I'll say another thing. This is the portal I was talking about. It's bonkers to really think. Like, this portal dictates such a wild thing. And then they at the end of the patch, they'll say, oh, we shouldn't do that again. But it's so bloody important that they deal with that. And they're like, you can't just rip holes in the space-time continuum, because all sense of logic about how armies work, about how power is held, about how magic, it just completely breaks down if you let your characters pull shit like this. Like, this is an amazing, amazing cop-out in some senses that's there to allow them to do an entire war in a single patch. It's like incredible. If this stays as a function of Guild Wars, it's chaos. I mean, and in a way, that's kind of amazing, because that's the theme of Guild Wars right now. Everyone has magic and too much magic and too much capability, and the sense of the universe and its structures breaking down, and you just get this wild stuff where one inventor can orchestrate these incredibly phenomenal, like, world-bending things. I don't think the patch actually focuses enough on just how bonkers this is. And I was happy to see that by the end of the patch, they decide, yeah, let's not keep doing it. You're sad that they cut the part of the portal where we get part of the story where we get lost in the portal. That was revealed on a stream, I'm guessing, because that's not in the AMA. I need to watch their streams and figure out all that other stuff. I forgot harder, faster. You're more interested in what Blish did with the skills. Example turned into strategy. So, yeah, I'm not going to keep playing the story. I will stick about just for a second, though. Does anybody have anything that they've been copy-pasting to me in Twitch over and over and over again, and you feel like I've missed it? Because I've been really shit with chat today, and I'm really sorry. There's been quite a lot of you and quite a lot of fast-moving stuff. If you want to talk about anything, if you want to talk about the Jessica Price thing or whatever, you got my ear. I will talk to you just for a moment here before I leave. So, yeah, just throw it at me. Let's see what people are saying. Hey, speculation question. In episode 2, Timey was very fascinated with the Blish subconscious being in the golem. Considering she's ill and crippled, do you think we might see her? People have speculated that. That could be something they're doing. If not the SNAF thing, they might be thinking about that. When I came to the stream, I'd just woken up and I seriously was dreaming about you streaming and showing people something I had only intended to show my mum online. Yeah, what was it? What, like some kind of product? Drifting happens when you release the button. Yeah, Ben, I've seen you type that. You typed that a lot yesterday as well, right? I will do well to try and pay attention to that. Did I ever do a playthrough of the Scarab story in Guild Wars 1? Yes, I have. I'm very proud of my Guild Wars 1 stuff. Basically, my Guild Wars 1 stuff is their full Let's Plays, and then I have bonus episodes that spiral off that dealt with all of that. I've got bonus series of every prominent quest chain in the game. One dealing with Baltec, one dealing with Merkavale, the Scale God, one dealing with the Scarab Plague. All of it's there in his stand, and I did it all. So you can find it. Just go to my channel on YouTube. I think it's quite well organized and structured. Aren't Assyrians in general way too powerful with their ridiculous proficiency with Magitech? I mean, yeah, that's basically what I'm getting out of it. It's a bit OP, really. In fact, no, I don't know why I'm being so conservative. It's ridiculously OP what happens in this patch. But they give it some space and some tact. They do treat it okay. What else we got? Snaf died outside of his mind in the book. He is ripped out of the machine and sees the minions of Kralkatorrik eat him in first person. That's fair. Maybe it doesn't work perfectly. I can easily see how they could twist it. I'd have to reread that passage. And I will now that you've said that. Because maybe you've tempered my enthusiasm for that idea. Do you think community crowdfunded cupcakes played a part in Mo siding with the community? Absolutely not. There's a very, very important discussion that I kind of want to have on that whole side of things, because I don't care so much about the sexist, feminist, all that kind of stuff. I think that that's secondary to what's really important. And I'm very scared by the kind of line that's being drawn in the sand. There's kind of an us versus them thing going on with developers versus their studios, and there's a lot going on that I'm much more interested in. And it is that thing of, like, why would Mo side with the community instead of his employees kind of thing, right? And one of the most important things to say on that topic is a lot of us are making the assumption that Mo's decision was influenced by the community. When there's a chance, and I'm being devil's advocate, some of you will be sickened to hear me say this when you've already decided how you feel about it, but there's a chance he didn't make any consideration to Reddit at all. I showed the Kate Welch tweet in my stream. She may be right. Maybe Mo does have it. I mean, that's some serious company dirt she threw out to the public there. Maybe Mo has a history of siding with the communities instead of his devs, and he's just looking for cheap internet fame because X, Y, or Z. You know, we can go down that rabbit hole if we like, but you could also just as easily say maybe he made that decision completely irrelevant of how much of a backlash there was. You know, and I think that there is something to be said in there. Oh, we got to heal and get out of that, because I do believe that you can hire someone and be like, shit, I should not have hired this person. They're a wanker. How do I get rid of them? And look for the first moment to get out. That obviously doesn't work when Peter comes into the picture. And I think they really did lose a very valuable member of the community, of their employee base, by losing him. So there's a lot going on there, you know. There's another side to it, which is, imagine there was never any outrage. Would you be happy with his decision? Does that change things? There was an outrage, but maybe we can separate the two. Maybe we can't. I don't know. But there's a lot to talk about. It's not black and white. It's not. I hate people saying, oh, you know, that sounds too fluffy for me to just come out and say it's not black and white. But it's really not. I know it looks open and start, wow, this person's a dick, they got fired and it's over, but there's a story that I think will keep getting told. ArenaNet is basically ground zero for something I think that will keep coming up and up and up over the next decade and beyond. And we in video games will see it a lot more than most. As someone who works in HR, I still don't understand how you hire someone for price. Like price. Yeah, I mean, that's another interesting aspect, right? Like, I actually had a version of my script where I talked about that, but I cut it out. And it was basically, how the fuck did she get hired? But I thought that was a bit accusatory, and I don't know. She's obviously good at she was good at her job. I'm sorry, I will defend her. She's got a lot of baller responses in that AMA, and she's, as I said, I feel like a kindred spirit to her in some ways. She engaged with people to a greater extent than most of those writers do. And it's that enthusiasm that they need, you know. Here's the truth. Not many people give a flying fuck about Guild Wars and the Guild Wars lore and the Guild Wars continuity and the Guild Wars world building. And it's a lot to digest. And she threw herself into this IP. She threw herself in, and that's what I want from a writer. She checks a lot of boxes. And there's another fundamental question we can frame and just say, is being an asshole enough to get you fired? For a lot of people on Reddit, it's like, or not just Reddit, don't let me just say that. A lot of people, it's like, yeah, you're an asshole, you're allowed to get fired. But that's not an open and shut thing either. I know a lot of, I've worked with a lot of assholes who make it many years in their respective fields and earn a lot of money for their companies and do a lot of things. So there's all kinds of, is it pure pragmatism about profits for Guild Wars 2? But I talked about that as well. I don't really think that Mo will get any profit for bowing to the mob on this. So, anyway. Who is he? Lord Farron. Are you worried about the replacement hiring someone for those positions? I do think Freeze is very, very, very hard to replace. I really do. I do think he's hard to replace. You can't exchange 13 years of enthusiasm. You can't. It's there's not many people who will know Tyrion and will have followed Tyrion as long as he had. And when you watch my video, my coverage on the AMA later today, which is what I'm going to stop this stream to go work on and finish edit for you, when you see the kind of things, like, up to the last hour, he was still saying and understanding. Like, he talked about his philosophies behind developing the open world for this patch, for the Domain of Corner, which we'll be going to on tomorrow's stream. When you see him talking about that, you'll get a perspective for what 13 years of experience can do. Let me put it another way, to try and make this as real as possible. Any of you that read books, any of you got an author you like? Literally, you might think that there's a ton of talent. Think of a talented author you like. Really seriously think about them getting hired to work on Guild Wars. And you might say, well, they're a really talented writer. But immediately, something will feel off about that in your brain. And what will feel off is you realize, holy shit, that person has zero understanding or experience of Tyria. They've got a lot to learn. That's what the 13 years represents, you know? Would you have faith, even as a good writer, for them to suddenly start telling this story super well? You shouldn't. Because it's a big IP. Oh, they're dead. Jesus. Think of a living one. Well, no, I suppose they can just pass away. It's just the books. You get what I mean? That's why Freeze is hard to replace. I'm trying not to defend Freeze and feel bad about Freeze getting fired just because he's a nice guy and he's a likable guy any more than I want to defend her getting fired because she's a brat, right? Like, I'm trying to remove all of that aspects of their personalities aside, just talking pure pragmatism and their understanding and capabilities, you know. Bungie's a really amazing thing to talk about as well, by the way. I was reading about a lot of Bungie related stuff a few weeks before that. I think I had some stream before this. I think I had some streams discussing it a little bit. Bungie is truly interesting to look at. And remember, we have an ex-Bungie dev in a very prominent narrative position at ArenaNet right now. Very prominent. Tim Abernathy, right? But if you look at the way Bungie... Actually, not so much Bungie. I guess Destiny's had its problems or whatever, and that was before Abernathy... That was after Abernathy left and stuff. I think his last big project was Reach. But 343 is... Sorry, what I was really trying to talk about. 343 has got some fascinating stuff with how the Halo franchise was developed and who took over. And, you know... devs shuffling around on long-term projects and stuff like this. It's so hard to get that unity back. You don't want a lot of changes. You don't want a lot of people constantly flitting in and out. Would I write for ArenaNet? No, because I don't have any talent, man. I don't think so. Problem with Destiny 2 was the game directors after the initial release. It's great now that the live team took over. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about the whole generalist specialist thing before. I probably shouldn't talk too much about Destiny. Someone said, oh, they feel the same way when I was talking about BDO, and you know, that's perfectly fair. Why isn't it perfectly plausible that Peter got fired for falsely claiming the sexist card when it was completely unwarranted? Well, just take a step back. Like, it's just that simple question of, is being a dickhead a fireable offense? Is saying something people might disagree with a fireable offense? You know, you might be angry about the specifics of this scenario, but there is very much a discussion to have. It's not black and white. This is a great area to drift around the field. Go work on the AMA. I mean, it is a really long video, by the way, so I've given you quite a good, well, quite long in terms of length stream here. There's a very long video coming up.
Yeah!
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I think Alpha X Neo is right. There's going to be a lot more going on behind the scenes. There will be. This is what's so dumb about this, and I feel a bit stupid. What's the point in me, you in chat, people on Reddit, anyone actually speculating or talking about it? Because we're talking about a workplace culture that none of us are a part of. I mean, really. I'm going to assume for a second some of you have been employed at some point in your life, and especially if you've been in an office area. The number of ways that people interact and, like, annoy each other, or, you know, you might have an opinion that someone's slightly lazy or someone's this or someone's... It's like, they're so personal, specific, small little things that go into what a culture at a workplace is like. It's so dumb for us on the outside in a lot of ways to even talk about it, to be honest. And that's why I'm almost, you know, it's almost a shame that this got big publicly, because I don't think anyone would have batted an eye if that forum post had occurred without the tweets preceding it. Where do I think Raid Wing 6 will take place? I hope in the Mists. I hope Sorry's Furnace or... Sorry's Furnace. I hope... God, the traps really hit the Beatles hard. I hope the Domain of Anguish or other areas of the Realm of Torment or the Underworld. Fissure of Woe is a great idea as well. Just because Balthazar is becoming such a distant memory to me right now. And the Menzies stuff still needs describing. Will the LP continue? Yeah, obviously there's just other stuff going on. To tell you the truth, early in the week I was wasting a lot of time playing Stellaris again. Please show us a glimpse of Reshade. You can go to my subreddit to get all the details. It's buried in there somewhere. There you go. How often do I need to refresh my potato? Not often. I've done it twice in 2 years, 3 years. What's the preset you're using in the live stream? Not the same as your video on YouTube. This is the same preset. It's all the same. Do you think any Scarlet moments will become a fractal one day? I hope not. I want a proper living world treatment for all that. There's no point using fractals to patch the gaps. Still waiting for that other pale tree. I hope that more areas of corner become available. I'd love to see. Oh, unless you're talking about Cantha. Was Joko a human before he was Lich? Good question. That's the stuff I wanted this patch to deal with. I haven't heard the stuff with the statue, and I don't want it to be spoiled, so we will talk about it when it gets... Again, it's foolish to assume the Twitter situation was the sole reason for firing. No one knows if it was a last straw situation. I mean, absolutely. Well done. Well done. It's not going to be... I mean, that's the problem with all the discussion around this. People learn about a subject, and they think that that's all there is to the subject. It's like my disclaimer at the start of this stream, where I pointed out she started a ton of her tweets with today is a female gamer. That's so important. You know? Have you at any point thought about a small investment in an actual potato-shaped piece of wood? Yes, I have, actually. When I started Patreon, one of my ideas was I could, as a reward for people, buy like wooden potatoes, sign them, and ship them to them. But I didn't do it because in the end it was just a whole logistical side of the website that was completely unnecessary. But I have thought about that, and I do have a couple of wooden potatoes that I bought from like, I don't know, eBay or something years ago that were just kicking about in a drawer where I was wondering. My original YouTube icon was actually just a random Google image of merchandise, which was wooden potatoes. Joko had a feud with Mad King Thorn. We could get more Joko lore from Thorn, definitely. Just started my first ever 100% run of Final Fantasy X. Your vids will help. Dude, thank you. I'm really glad. There's like nothing you will miss if you use those series. Does the fire hurt the beetle? No, we nip over it too fast. Do I evade while boosting because of the skimmer mastery, I wonder? Will you show us a bit more Stellaris stuff, like an LP? Listen, one of my favorite things to do on the internet is to... or for an LP... is to give you that magical impression of a game that would be impossible to get as a player. So, like... you can have, watching my LP, that experience of playing something blind matched with all the expertise of having the perfect experience, and Stellaris would be such a good LP for that. I don't know whether there's so many other things on my mind, but maybe one day. I'm always thinking about it when I play Stellaris though. Always, 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 always. It wouldn't be a random stream because I wouldn't want to just throw something mediocre out there. Will I continue Ghost of Ascalon? I will, I promise. People keep asking me, but I will, I promise. Do you actually think Joko... Oh, I'm not going to talk about spoilers. Wow, mentioning Ghost of Ascalon, the German version of the book as a paperback is now sold out and not available anywhere anymore. I wonder how many more copies got sold when we started doing the audiobook stuff. I promise, guys, more audiobook stuff will come. I promise. I promise. It's not over. I still care so much about that. Do you think ArenaNet could get away with committing dev time to a proper Living World Season 1 revival, but also adding, say, a legendary amulet with collections locked behind Season 1 2 content? I've never heard of the idea of doing a legendary amulet behind Season 1 and 2, but that's fine. I see that. That's super reasonable. You're a big Paradox fan. That's cool, dude. I only really know Paradox from Magicka and Stellaris, but I love the way that they handle their version of community interaction and stuff is about 100,000 times better than ArenaNet has ever been. Ever. Paradox are by far and away the best video game company in terms of expectation management for their communities, information dissemination, the works. They are... I've never seen anyone any better. They're so good at engendering goodwill behind their patches. They're perfect. They're not immune to internet nonsense. Like when people review bomb Stellaris because the half-baked Chinese localization that they never officially fully supported got removed because it was never fully done. But, you know, they're not immune to that stuff, but they are so good. At least how Stellaris has been handled. The weekly dev diaries, the dev tweets, it's brilliant. It's amazing to see the difference between the Guild Wars 2 subreddit and the Stellaris subreddit. When Guild Wars 2 puts out so much more, so much better, so much more high quality content on such a higher, more regular basis. Guild Wars 2 does so much more than Stellaris does. And yet, and Stellaris people pay so much more as well. People pay so much more for the updates and things. And they come so much more sparingly. And yet the Stellaris subreddit has so much unity and enthusiasm and excitement and discussion. While Guild Wars 2 players get so mad and petty and annoyed by the tiniest little things. And the Guild Wars 2 players have so much less confidence that they'll get what they want from their game. Despite the fact they're getting such a higher quality treatment. Honestly, Paradox are rolling in it. Why am I not doing beetle tricks? Because I'm talking to you. I'm barely even looking at the game, really. Have I played Warframe? No, I've never played Warframe. Maybe because Stellaris is more niche? That's definitely a factor in it, definitely. It has a much more narrow scope, so its fans understand what will come within that scope. Guild Wars 2 has a lot of problems because it's too broad scope and it doesn't communicate what it's going for well enough. So you end up getting pockets of the community that look for one thing, such as raids, and aren't satisfied for months on end, and then they whine. Or you get people looking for another thing for months on end, like, I don't know, in-game armor sets, because they want more Fashion Wars, but it only comes to the gem store, and then they get upset. So, you know, But that's still a matter of communication to me. That's still, you've got to communicate with your players what they can expect and when. You know, we only just heard that the raid team and the fractal team were essentially combined. Like, what if that had been communicated a year ago when it happened? Maybe people would have been a bit more settled about raid frequency, you know? What game am I talking about? Stellaris. It's a 4X grand strategy game. It's nothing like Guild Wars, but I'm a big fan of it. So, if you're watching my stream and you like me for Guild Wars, honestly, this is totally irrelevant. Ewendel just donated. He got it in. Thanks, dude. Emone. What's that spell? Wait, what? E-M-O-N-E? I don't know what you're talking about with the donation, but thank you, dude. All right, guys, there you go. That's it. I'm going to stop waffling. Please, a very sincere reminder. I will be back tomorrow, same time. So, you know, set a phone alarm, or you can click follow, or we have a really cool community Discord where I announce the new streams that are coming up. We were talking a lot about the controversy with Jessica Price, and you can put your heads together. There's routes into the guild. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Please do visit us on Discord. You don't need an account or anything. Just click that link that I just put in chat there. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for more of the story. The final thing I will say is let's host someone. So, the way I like to do things on Twitch is I have quite a nice big audience. So, I throw hosts at small viewers. No, not small viewers. Other people who don't have audiences yet, and give them a chance to have a big stage. So, I'm going to throw a host over to some of you. I guess what we will do is try and get someone with a face cam. Here you go. This guy, he's called Thief and Chill Practice. So we will watch him. We will see how he feels. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll be over in their chat. Keep watching, and I'll see you in a sec. And yeah, the football tomorrow is going to be great.